Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Instant Reaction Postgame Show, Buckeye Huddle's Postgame Show. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Buckeyes cruise past Michigan State 38-3. It's been a long time coming for a good start offensively. Buckeyes did that. Before we get into too much, I would like to talk about our sponsor, thank our sponsor of this program. It is WagerWire. It's an app to make you become a better. So it's an app that tracks all your sports books in one place. So if you're on 4 or 5 different sports books, you can track all your bets, all your statistics, your betting history, everything in one place. You can even sign up for new sports books, sign up bonuses. So, you want to try out a new one. They've got a good sign up bonus. You can do that through the app. What I personally continue to like about it is, again, they're incentivized by people using the app, which means they're incentivized by you winning. They don't take your action. They're not they don't want you to lose. They want you to win. So they get to track all your statistics and all your play. You can handle it all in one place. That's WagerWire. You can follow them on Twitter, X at WagerWire. They have a great Twitter account to follow. And you can go on the Play Store or Apple Store and download the app, the WagerWire app, and please use promo code Buckeye Huddle if you do that, just so they know we're sending you there. All right, Devin, big start for the offense. Everyone's been complaining about it. We've been complaining about it. Why can't the offense figure this out? Why can't the offense start strong? Why is this always a second half team? Not the case tonight. Dominant from the opening kickoff. Michigan State, not one of the better teams on the schedule, but fast start, I think, is going to help some confidence moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, demonstrating they can do it. We started to see it a little bit last week. McCord didn't necessarily put points on the board, but he started off, whatever he did, 9 for 9 completion-wise. So to see them start putting points on the board with those fast starts is a huge step in the right direction here down the home stretch for this offense. So great to see tonight from the offense to put together a fast start putting points on the board early in the game. This for the first time, really, it seems like this season.
Fact or fiction, Kyle McCord's best game so far?
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a great question. I think we're going to go fact. We're going to keep referring to this throughout the night. Michigan State isn't necessarily the Michigan State that we had been accustomed to seeing. It seems like not too long ago, but you do what you're supposed to do when you're playing a team that you're supposed to be better than, and McCord went out and did that tonight.
What I liked about tonight's performance wasn't just his efficiency. I thought there were 2 or 3 throws he made into really almost perfect coverage. This was not like game management, taking what the defense is giving you, there was some element of that, of course. He did, go with what the defense was giving him, but the throw to Stover, the touchdown throw to Stover, unbelievable throw, that was well covered. The touchdown in the back of on the sideline to Marvin Harrison was a well covered play and just kind of dropped it right in there. It's another thing people, he's making the throws he should make, but is he making throws that maybe aren't even there? Or, the types of CJ Stroud type of throws where, what did he see there to even make that throw? He made a couple of those tonight, I thought.
I'll give you a third one that I really thought we saw the growth from Kyle McCord this year, that he may necessarily made this throw even. He didn't make it last week, actually, against Rutgers. He against cover 2, we saw it sideline pass to Marvin Harrison. Just fit it right in between the corner and the safety on a little out cut or little flag route there to the sideline and fit it in between the corner and safety. So that's another throw we hadn't really seen him make all year this year. Fitting in between 2 defenders like that.
So they get that early lead. I'm sure there's going to be people like, gosh, I hope there's not too many of them here. But there's going to be people like, well, they didn't keep their foot on the gas, and then when they should have won 70-3 or whatever. I liked the fact that for pretty much the entire fourth quarter, they were able to get a lot of young guys out there, guys who really, unless things go really sideways here the next couple of weeks, aren't going to factor into things a whole lot this year, and get some of these guys a break. I made the comment on Twitter. I would take Emeka Egbuka's helmet until Tuesday of Michigan week. But they were able to get some young backs in there. They were able to get Lincoln Keenholz in there and kind of, I know Devin Brown's still coming back from the ankle. I know, obviously Kyle McCord's ankle's been a thing. So to me, that was encouraging, getting a lot of young guys in there and saving some of these guys. I think next week can be treated, I don't say as a bye week for a few guys, but I think there's guys next week who, are 80, 85%. I wouldn't play them. I know, Minnesota is going to give you their best shot, but I think this extra rest will be helpful too. I think it'll pay dividends.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you there. It was nice to see. It was nice to see a lot of guys get in the game that typically don't get in the game. One of the things that I guess my counterpoint to, they should have won 70-0 is, well, typically we argue that Ryan Day keeps his starters in too long. Right. Okay, well, here he goes. He got the guys in there to get a lot of guys real game reps. And I think from a coaching point of view, you put it on film. And two, the other thing is, too, it gives these young guys a reason to keep practicing hard in practice. I mean, as silly as that sounds, these still are kids. They still need some motivation. And here, Coach Day was able to provide a lot of these young cats real grass time in a real game to go out there and play in front of a huge crowd in the home stadium. So there's a lot to be said for that. We get lost as fans looking at, hey, so Ohio State won national championships, but at the end of the day, you still got to manage 18 to 22-year-old, like I said, kids, and to give them the opportunity to go play. That's all they want to do at the end of the day a lot of times. So it was nice to see that happen for those kids.
The offensive line, again, I thought the offensive line made some steps last week. I thought they made some steps this week. Was it the best defensive line or best front seven they faced this year? Certainly not. But there were holes in the run game. We can nitpick a little bit on pass pro. I thought it was good. I think the offensive line is even starting to gel here. And I think, again, confidence. You want to have a confident team who feels like it's playing its best football when you roll into Ann Arbor in a couple weeks. I think they're trending that direction. What are your thoughts on the line play today? Yeah,
again, you can't put up the numbers Kyle McCord put up, especially in the pass game, without having at least fairly decent pass protection. Give him time to put the ball in the air like he did tonight. And I think one of the things to look at with Michigan State is, are they best front that Michigan State's had the past few years? No, but not by any stretch of imagination. However, when you watch the game, especially pre-snap, Michigan State was throwing a lot at that offensive line in terms of moving around and trying to create different looks and pressures. And the offensive line, again, to your point, handled it pretty good. And again, for November and the home stretch, there's something to be encouraged about after this ball game.
Defense continues to play well. Kept him out of the end zone tonight. Cody Simon filling in for Eichenberg. And now Cody's been playing a lot this year. But, that's Eichenberg's kind of the quarterback of the defense. A lot of people weren't sure if he'd play tonight. Obviously, he did not. Didn't feel to me, maybe Michigan State ran it a little bit at times, but I think a lot of that even came when the game was so far out of reach that Ohio State's like, fine, if you want to try and run it 5 yards at a time up and down the field, run the clock out on yourselves, that's fine. So I thought Simon had a really nice night. I thought, again, you're down 3 defensive starters. This defense is building depth that they haven't had in the past.
Again, you see that real grass opportunity paying off for these young guys. The freshman safety, played a bunch last week, played a bunch early in the year. And so you didn't necessarily see as much in the back end with 2 backup safeties in. I know Styles plays a lot, so it doesn't seem like a backup. But again, he's typically in that nickel role, so he's playing that third-level boundary safety for Ransom. And again, with a true freshman in there, starting in the adjuster position, the guy that's supposed to make the defense multiple on the back end. They really did a good job handling it. You didn't see necessarily as much multiplicity as you typically see from Knowles, but again, for what they were trying to do, they went out and executed well. You made an observation. They did hit some runs, but again, it's kind of a theme all year. Yeah, you may have got a couple here and there, but they did a good job putting the ball on the ground, making them snap it again, and not letting those plays turn into home run plays. So there's a lot to be said for that.
I continue to like, I thought they managed him well tonight. I continue to like what I'm seeing out of Trey Henderson too. I think he's running hard. I think he's seeing it better than he's seen it before. Again, just kind of a common theme here. It feels like there aren't many position groups right now where I'm looking at and I'm like, oh God, you guys need to get it together. I think a lot of these position groups are doing what they need to do development growth wise and getting confidence at the right time. My game ball is McCord, but I thought they got a great effort from Xavier Johnson tonight. I thought they got a great effort from the offensive line. Chip Trainum gave him some good minutes in the run game. Carnell Tate gave him, even Julian Fleming got involved. It feels like they're getting as many guys as possible kind of up that confidence level right now.
Yeah, it was nice to see a lot of guys get involved in the offense and contribute. It wasn't just a one-man show or two-man show like we saw the past couple of weeks with Henderson and Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously those are your feature guys, and you want to feed them the ball. Especially here in 2 weeks, I'm sure that'll be the case. But again, see these other guys step up, make plays when opportunity presents itself. It is again a very positive thing you could take away from this game tonight. It's Michigan State. They're not having the best year with all the stuff they got going on, but guys went out and played like they're supposed to play, and the team overall did what it was supposed to do against a team you're supposed to jump all over, and they did exactly that.
Another big night for Marvin Harrison. You could argue maybe some of this is to put him on display for the Heisman, but with the ending around and just some of the different things they're doing with him now, I think it's a little more to it than that. I don't think it's just, hey, let's hand it to Marv this time and let's get him a rushing touchdown for the Heisman. I think they're putting things on tape for a certain school in Ann Arbor in 2 weeks of, these are all the different things we can do with him. And you may be able to run something off of that later, that ending around that may be a fake later and a throw somewhere. I mean, there's things. I feel like they're building some layers here offensively.
No, bingo. And they talked about tonight during the game, the commentators did, how Ryan Day likes to move Marvin Harrison Jr. Around to create those matchups like you referenced. And again, I think that the end around reverse there wasn't just a Harrison Jr. play to get him the ball. Definitely wanted to put it on tape to force teams prepare for it. But again, it was built off of what they're doing more in the run game, in particular here down, second half, definitely last quarter of the season. It's built off kind of that counter action, more gap scheme type run game as another constraint play. Hey, we get this formation, we got this tight split, everything's packed in. Now they got a reverse built in off of it. So just another play you got to prepare for now, built off the way the run game's progressing as well. Of course, it doesn't hurt, obviously, that the reverse is going to the arguably, potentially the best player in college football right now.
Did you get a chance to watch the Michigan-Penn State game today? It's funny, we keep talking about prepping for Michigan. It's funny how similar some of these games have played out. The Michigan State game tonight was very similar to the way those two teams have played Michigan State. The Penn State games were similar in how those games played out. I think even like the Rutgers game was pretty similar in how those played out. It just feels like we're destined for like a one last possession wins, or it's going to come down to the final drive game in a couple weeks. I know we'll talk more Michigan State or get too far ahead, but it's just we keep coming back to prep for Michigan in 2 weeks, and it just feels like these teams are ready to play a game that can be decided by 3 or 4 points.
It's happened before. Let's put it that way, and it's the way it looks like it's starting to build up. Knock on wood. Was it how many years ago was it? 2006. It could potentially be building that way.
Yeah.
So don't want to get too far ahead and put the bad voodoo out there in the universe, but still got another ball game to play. But you hit the nail on the head. You could start making those comparisons. Here as we're rapidly approaching the game.
All right, let's get to our 3 and out. We'll talk about a couple of maybe the 3 big takeaways here. Devin's 3 deep first. Squash the bug. What does squash the bug mean?
So we got this old saying about in coaching. When you're playing a team, you're supposed to be a lot better than. How do you know how well you played. Well, kind of like this, if you got a bug flying around, how do you take care of it? Do you swat it with a fly swatter? No. If you're a really good ball club and you're playing a little bug, you smash it with a sledgehammer. And that's basically what we saw tonight. Ohio State, especially in the first half, they're playing a team they're supposed to be better than. So they took out a sledgehammer and put it to them in the first half. So that was something very encouraging to see. They didn't let a team that they're supposed to be better than hang around, make plays, make it interesting, if you will. If not, push them to the edge. They went out first half especially, jumped all over them. And again, they took a sledgehammer and squashed the bug. So that was something as a kind of an old saying, if you will, old coaching saying about how do you tell if you're a good ball club? Well, playing a little team, you go out and squash them with a sledgehammer. So that's what that means. And that was, again, encouraging to see tonight that, again, early on in the game, they just went out, jumped all over them, and put it out of reach immediately.
We talked about it kind of a minute ago, but Ryan Day's offense building. What are you seeing out of the offense right now and kind of the progress and development of that side of the ball?
It seems like the first half of the year, again, without getting too far in the technical details, he was trying to build Ryan Day's offense, I guess, for lack of a better description. Hey, we're going to run a lot of stretch, and we want Kyle McCord to be just like, again, this is oversimplification, but we need Kyle McCord to be, Stroud, Fields, Haskins in terms of throwing the ball. Well, it wasn't the team he had. And we saw it intermittently throughout the season. And here it seems like here the past couple of weeks, hey, you know what? We're not really a stretch team. So, I want to quit calling. I'm not going to want to run stretch anymore. Okay, what are these guys good at? All right, we're actually pretty good at, gap down backer and pulling and, running power and counter. Let's start doing more of that.
Ryan Day.
Then, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. set Ohio State history tonight with two 1,000-yard seasons. Just can you speak on that start you saw? And was it you intended to get Marvin very much involved from the get-go?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the case. And it was great to have everybody back. It was great to have Cade back. It was great to see Trey running. It was good to have, Mech and Julian out there. Certainly Marvin made some big time plays early on in the game and really got us going. I thought the reverse was really well executed by the guys up front. You talk about a couple of those blocks that were made. G. Scott came around and set that edge, and then Marvin did the rest. But Josh Fryer was hustling down the field. I thought the O-line, the first group really did a nice job, and Trey ran hard. Kyle made some good decisions. But like you said, Marv, is a special player, and we're always going to try and find ways to get him the ball. Not that it's always easy. There was a lot of double coverage out there tonight, and still found a way to make plays.
Over to the left, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch, and then to Cameron Teague.
Marvin, the defense got better as the night went on. It was playing without three key players. Yeah. First of all, how is Tommy? Is that a long-term thing? And what did you see from the defense?
Tommy will be week to week. It's not long-term, but it will be week to week. We feel like we're going to get him back here soon. Lathan's more long-term. But same thing with Proc. We think we'll get him back here real soon. But it was great to see some guys step up, guys that you never know how this thing's going to shake out. And you have to have guys, play. And even at the end of the game, able to get some guys some reps. Those are precious reps because you just never know when guys are going to have to be put in those situations. I think back down the stretch run last year, at running back, at tight end, there was a lot of times, where we needed guys to step up. And so, watch the film and figure out who did that today.
Over to the right here, Clay Hall, WSYX, and then Dylan Davis.
I think it was a career night for Kyle, wasn't it? 335 yards passing. Could Marv ever throw the football, Coach?
Can he throw? No, we're going to leave him just catching, I think. Yeah. He can throw it all right, but not good enough to – no, I don't think so.
Not a game situation.
I'd have to look at it and see if he can do it. He does a good job of catching.
Over to the left, Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Ryan, you mentioned the double teams Marv got, and it's been all year, bracketing, double team, triple team. When, as a play caller, how much do you have to think on a week-to-week basis? How creative can I get in getting him the ball in space?
Yeah, we want to get everybody involved. You saw Cade have 7 targets, and sometimes you design a play where you think it's going to go somewhere and it goes somewhere else. I think Julian Fleming's playing really good football right now too, and the ball hasn't quite gone his way a couple times, but it's going to. And the same with Mech. Every week he's getting stronger, and we know what he can do. And then you got Trey and the running backs and Chip, and I thought Xavier ran hard today too and had a couple plays down the field, which was great. But you try to do everything you can to put the guys in position to make plays, but ultimately they have to do it. And there were times tonight where he was double covered and he still got open. I think the one coming out of the half, pretty sure that was double coverage. He ran right through it, and I'll have to watch the film, but I thought Mecca ran a nice route too. I think he was probably open as well, but just every time that happens, other guys are going to be in one-on-one situations, and they have to be willing to capitalize. And Kyle's got to find those guys. But I thought that happened tonight. Good to see us get off to a hot start there, and we're playing complementary football like that. That's our, that's what we can be, and this is where we want to be playing our best.
Over to the right, Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette, and then Austin Ward.
I asked you on Tuesday what you can learn from games like this, or maybe kind of mismatches compared to bigger matchups. Yeah. I guess what is your biggest takeaway from this game, or the thing that really stood out to you about your team?
I just feel like we're getting all of our pieces back, and I think you're starting to see our identity start to forge a little bit what we're doing on offense. And every year, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to figure that out. And I think you're seeing us play with more and more confidence. I think that was sorry to cut you off, Jerry. I think you guys were asking me this week about the game against Rutgers, and although it was a little clunky at times, I said that a lot of guys graded out well, and I felt like watching the film that was encouraging and it was coming, and so I kind of felt like something like this was right around the corner. We were knocking on the door, so count on this to continue to push us forward with the momentum to finish this season the way we should.
Dan Hope, 11 Warriors, and then Pat Murphy.
Ryan, when you have a player like Marvin who's gaining Heisman attention, do you think about trying to create more opportunities for him to bolster his stock there?
No, you can't do that. You can't start to do that. And I know that that's going to be part of the conversation, but that award is for the most outstanding player, not the standard, the player with the most stats. And, he certainly made a major impact on this game, had 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing, but really only played a half of football. So no, we try not to focus on that. We just try to figure out what gives us the best opportunity to move the football down the field. And because we have great weapons across the board, and that's what's great about having all of our guys back, at full capacity. And then the O-line really starting to, make strides.
Over to the right, Austin Ward, the podcast.
Ryan, maybe I'm mistaken, but you seemed content to run things out there in the second half and just get this over with. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but if this game had been in September and not the middle of November, do you think you would have managed it the same way in the second half?
Probably not. Yeah, no, I think you're onto it. I mean, we know what's ahead of us. Trey didn't play in the second half. Cade didn't play in the second half. Mecca and Marv only played a drive, and then we started to get other guys in there. This has been quite a run for us, so it was good to get those guys, out of the game a little bit and cut their numbers down, because we know, where we need to be here. So
we're going to take just a couple more for Coach, so then we can get Marvin on. Over to the right or to the left, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Right, you mentioned getting some of the guys in the second half.
Yeah.
What can they take from that, even though it's not a competitive game at that point?
Yeah.
What value is it?
No, but it is competitive to them. Like, that doesn't matter. This is an opportunity. They practice. They've earned an opportunity to get on the field, and now they got to grab onto those reps. And some guys did flash, and that's where you see a guy on the field, and other guys, it's like sometimes we say they spit the bit. They don't quite handle it the right way, and they have to learn from that. So they're all gradable snaps on film, and it doesn't matter what the score is. That should have nothing to do with it. For example, like just a young guy that just flashed to me was Calvin Simpson Hunt on that screenplay. I mean, just what a great play for him to show up there. Like, okay, so now the coaches see that, they say, wait a minute, now maybe we should be looking at this guy. And that's kind of how Carnell kind of came on, and you see Brandon made the play in the Purdue game. That's part of it. So great opportunity, and we'll look at those snaps and see where we're at.
Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row, and then Lori Schmidt.
Ryan, it seemed like Kyle's over here.
Sorry.
Seemed like Kyle's ball placement was among his best of the year with the first touchdown to Marvin and then the touchdown to Cade on the back shoulder. Did you see that from him? And is that somewhere that you think he's starting to take the strides that you want to see from him?
I thought his feet moved better in the game, just watching the rhythm of the game, the feet. You know, he started off pretty good in the Rutgers game, and then he started off a little better in this game. He's starting to just – the game's slowing down for him. You can just see that happening. Not that it's all perfect all the time. It's not. But when his feet are right and he's found the rhythm of the game, that's when he's playing at his best. And I threw some really nice balls tonight.
Over to the left, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, what does Cade do for you guys when you get him back? And there are a lot of times where you kind of got him and the sticks moved. It seemed like things are efficient when it goes his way. I think 4 of the 7 catches went for first downs tonight. What does he do in terms of just keeping things moving?
Yeah, for one half of football, 7 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. It's a good night. You know, he is strong inside in the run game, makes a huge difference. You know, I thought G and Pat did a nice job when they were in there as well, but Cade is strong in there, and then he's become a weapon in the passing game, and you know he's in a situation where he's in a one-on-one a decent amount, and he's a big target, and he's making contested catches, and I think Kyle feels comfortable throwing to that big target, even when he is covered, like he was in the 2-minute drill. You know, he's a big guy that you can throw him open like that, and he's going to make that catch, and that was a really nice play. So another guy who's, you know, when we're working at full capacity, he's a big part of it.
And last question for Coach Day, Lori Schmidt, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, when your guys show what you've called competitive stamina in a game like this, what does it tell you about what you'll see from them in a big game? And how much was tonight a test of your team's focus?
Coming off of last week, we really focused on, all right, now we're in November. We got to be playing our best in November. You play for championships here in November and December. You know, this is where it all counts. And we wanted to take a step this week. And it was just when things get bigger, the focus gets more narrow. And it was just about playing as hard as we possibly can and executing at a high level. And, you know, we did cut back a little bit on practice this week, and I thought the guys played fast. So we'll look at it, evaluate it, and figure out what's best this week.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to bring Marvin Harrison Jr. up to the podium, and we're going to open up. Yeah, we're going to, and I'm going to go ahead and ask Sonny Styles and Cody Simon to move to the back couple tables. So anyone wants to talk with them, they can head back there. Otherwise, we're going to open up the floor to the front here for Marvin Harrison Jr. Over to the right, Austin Ward, the podcast.
Marv, are you too nervous for the podium? Over here on your right. You don't want the podium? You want?
No, I look much rather my spot in the back there. Usually comfortable.
You got it. I mean, aren't you used to the spotlight by now?
Yeah, getting there.
Which of the 3 touchdowns was your favorite today?
The rushing one.
Why?
I think we called that play, I think, 3 times in my career so far, and I came up short the other 2 times, and I finally got an end zone this time, and that was my first rushing touchdown of my career, so that's definitely going to be a special one for me.
Marvin, over to the left, we got Cameron Teague Robinson from The Athletic.
Ryan, Marvin, you mentioned the rushing touchdown. It seems like as the year's gone on, teams W, triple U, bracket you. Ryan has done a good job of finding creative ways to get you the ball in space. How much have you grown in your versatility of whether you're coming around on a reverse, kind of offset as a tight end? How have you enjoyed that versatility?
It's definitely been great. I learned a lot. In spring ball, I got to play slot pretty much the whole spring with the Mecca being out. And so just enhancing my game as much as I can. I think, last year, obviously, I was just, kind of an outside guy. But now, I think this year I'm showcasing more of my ability. And I can do many things on the field. So, like you said, credit to Coach Day. He's done a tremendous job getting me the ball. So all thanks to him, really.
Over to the right, Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Marv, have you ever been to New York in December?
What did you say?
December before?
Close to December, but no, not in December.
I know that you don't set out to try to go win the Heisman Trophy, but it's a realistic thing right now. You're in the talk of that. Is it something that, like, at least you want to do? Is it in your head at all in the off season? Like, hey, I'd like to go win a Heisman Trophy, or is it so far removed that it's just not?
No, I mean, in all season, that wasn't in my head at all. I just want to beat the team at North and go to the Big Ten championship. I mean, I've kind of been saying that all year. So those are the 2 goals I've had before the season even started. And I'm thankful to even be in the conversation But there's a lot of football left to be played, and I'm just trying to do my best to help the team win.
Over to the left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Marvin, do you feel like the connection between you and Kyle is getting stronger and stronger here as you go week by week?
Yes, definitely. I know we played with each other in high school, but it's totally different in college. We just the players are better, the schemes are different, so we're still trying to adjust. And we have, I think it was 10 games now. We're still developing the chemistry and just giving each other different looks, in practice, and trying to be on the same page as much as we can. So, it's been great though. It's definitely been, super exciting playing with him again, and we're going to continue our connection on the field.
Over here to the right, Tim May, the Tim May Show, and on 3.
Yeah, Marvin, a lot of receivers have come through Ohio State. You're the first guy to ever have 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons. What does that mean to you? I mean, I know you're paying attention a little bit to that, but what does it mean to you already have a legacy like that?
Yeah, that's crazy. All praise and glory to God. He's blessed me a lot with a lot of different gifts, and each and every day, I just try to honor those gifts. Put in as much work as I can, and he's blessed me to be able to accomplish a feat like that, and to be the first ever to do something in Ohio State history, especially as a receiver. You know how many great receivers have come through this place, and that means a lot. And like I said, I'm just super blessed.
Right behind Tim, Jeff Gilbert, Press Pros.
The fast start tonight, you guys have been talking about wanting to do that. What did that feel like in the huddle, sideline, all through that first half, just score?
Yeah, I don't know the correct stat. I think we scored on 5 of the 6 drives in the first half. That's what we need to do. I think it starts with scoring points in the red zone. That was big. We can't settle for field goals in that area. So when we score touchdowns and not field goals, I think that's definitely the fast start that we're talking about.
What was there more exciting doing that? What did it feel like on the sideline?
No, it's kind of been the model all year that we went in a fast start, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that. But today we did.
Over here to the right, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, a primetime game. You played the way you did tonight. I asked you a couple weeks ago about the Heisman. Probably punch your ticket for sure. How meaningful is that to you at this point?
Not meaningful too much. Obviously, I'm very thankful and blessed to be in the conversation. But no, we still have 2 games left in the regular season, and hopefully one in a Big Ten championship. And that's kind of been my goal all year, is to do those 2 things: beat the T North and win a Big Ten championship. So, whatever happens in December happens in December. But right now, I'm just obviously focusing on the corrections that we need to make from this game, and then moving on to Minnesota.
And final question for Marvin, Lori Schmidt, Columbus Dispatch.
Marvin, Ryan said that he cut back on practices this week. Was it noticeable? And if so, how much did it help? I mean, I imagine it's that time of year where you're starting to feel it.
Yeah, week 10, that helped tremendously. I think not just me, but many other players dealing with some injuries. We're trying to battle it out. And throughout the whole week, we're trying to get as healthy as we can for Saturdays, because obviously Saturday is the most important. So for him to do that for us, and I think for us to perform the way we did, it shows our maturity as a team, shows the confidence and trusting he has in us to go out there and still execute at a high level, even coming back some reps at practice. So hopefully we continue to do that. But obviously Saturdays need to go the way today did to get for that to happen.
Marvin, thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to bring our last interviewee of the evening up to the podium. Kyle McCord will open up with Lori Schmidt, Columbus Dispatch.
Kyle, week 10. Week 10, things are starting to wear on you. You're a college football fan in addition to being a college football player, and there's a lot going on in the landscape right now. How tough was it to focus today?
Honestly, not tough at all. I feel like, we've done a good job of blocking out all the noise. And, I think regardless of what people are saying, what the rankings are, I think at this point in the year, it's pointless because we know at the end of the day, we still have a lot of football in front of us. And especially in November, that's when championships are won. So I think if anything, the team's done a good job of almost, putting the blinders on in a sense and, not letting any of that outside noise creep in.
Over to the left, Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Kyle, Ryan made the point that an award like the Heisman is for the most outstanding player in the country, not just someone who has the best stats. I think it's fair to say Marvin's probably one of the most impactful players in the country. How does his play, his versatility impact you in your job specifically?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't really quantify it, how impactful he is to this offense. I mean, I think there's, one-on-one situations. Obviously, he wins. I think there's situations where he takes 2 defenders with him if they want to double him and somebody else is open. I think he does a good job blocking too. I mean, he does so much for the offense. And, I feel like I think I said this about a month ago. If it's truly the award that goes to the best player, he has to be right there in contention.
Over to the right, Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row, and then Spencer Holbrook.
Kyle, over here. When Coach Dave was asked about your ball placement, he pointed to your footwork. He said that often determines it. Did you feel like your footwork was especially better today, and how much does that ankle factor in at all?
Yeah, I felt like my footwork was definitely better today. I think that's something that we focused on during the week, was just being on a good base, having my weight distribution right. And then I think the O-line did a great job today as well in pass protection. I mean, I don't really think there was a time today where I dropped back and had pressure in my face, so I was able to step into the throws the way I wanted to. So I think that's a credit to the boys up front.
Over to the left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Kyle, I mean,
and then Pat Murphy.
You talk about how outstanding Marvin is. With all the weapons you have, is there still times where it's hard maybe not to just throw the ball to Marv because of how good he is?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's A, the play calling, and B, what defense they run. But I think there's not a one-on-one situation where I don't like Marvin. But like I said earlier, I think there are times where they try to double him, and that opens up other guys on the field. And I think, with the weapons that we have, really any one-on-one matchup on that offense I like.
Spencer Holbrook over here to the right, Letterman Row.
Safe to say that you were happy to have Cade back on the field?
Yeah, 100%.
What's that like throwing to him right now?
Yeah, I mean, he is just a big target. Runs his routes extremely well. His attention to detail is outstanding. And, I think on top of that, he's a force in the run game too. So I think the way he blocks, the way he runs routes, the way, he's just selfless on the field, I think, the whole offense benefits from that.
Over here to the right, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, you got all the pieces back tonight, scored 5 touchdowns and 6 first half possessions. Do you feel like with what we know is coming up that you guys are ready to take that step and rounding into the form that you probably expected all year?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what I've kind of been talking about all year. Just continuing to improve and grow each week. And now that we're in December or November, I think we have to play our best football now. And I think the urgency, has been passed down from the coaches to the players. And I think as an offense, we knew that, this had to be a good week for us and, a step in the right direction, which I think it was. Especially in that first half, we were rolling. Obviously, probably would have liked to finish a little bit better in the possessions I had in the second half. But, I think overall, definitely a step in the right direction.
Over to the left, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports, and then Katie Kapusta.
Kyle, what was it about tonight that allowed you to be as consistent as you were? Some games you've started real well or gotten to a groove later. Why tonight were you as consistent, do you think?
Yeah, I think first the game plan. I think we were super clear in the game plan. I thought we had a great week of preparation and knew how we wanted to attack them. And then I think B, just the guys around me did a great job. I mentioned the O-line earlier. I thought they had a really good game, especially in pass protection. I feel like there was a clean pocket all night. And then obviously the receivers going out and making some really good contested plays. And then I think on third down too, I don't know what the stats are exactly, but I think on third down, we were really efficient tonight. And I think anytime on third down, you can be efficient, keep the chains moving, points are going to follow.
Over here to the right, Tim May on 3.
Yeah. Cal, when you're out there and Trevion's behind you or around you, Cage at tight end, like you're talking about, Marvin and Emeka are out there, Julian Fleming. What does that feel like? It's been rare this year, in the last few weeks that's been out there. Does it feel like you're driving a big time car? What does it feel like? And,
yeah.
And did that have a lot to do with the hot start? Because I know, you've been criticized about and this offense has been criticized about not having that hot start, and you got one tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I'm spoiled. I think that's really the only way I can put it. You look around on that field, I think in every single position, it's just a dog. And, I feel like defenses have to pick and choose how they want to try to stop us. If they want to load guys up to try and stop Trey, that means, good matchups on the outside. If they want to play coverage, that means, we got a good run box and, Trey's going to do his thing. So I think that was kind of what we did tonight. And I think now it's just how can we continue to improve upon that? Because I think when all those guys are healthy, it's scary.
and we're going to be 2 and done right now. Katie Kapusta, Spectrum.
Kyle, over here. You mentioned playing your best football, needing to play your best football in November. Do you think this was your guys' most complete and best game? And what kind of confidence does that give you in the final 2 games of the season?
Yeah, I think definitely, especially in that first half, I think that's kind of the start. We've been shooting for all year, getting out the gate and putting points up on the board and being consistent that entire half. And obviously, they took some of the starters out pretty early in that second half. But I think, this was a pretty complete game. Like I said, I thought we could have maybe finished a little bit better on this final drives that I was in. But I feel like just, especially the defense too, letting up 3 points and, the offense, like I said, starting fast. I feel like, we definitely, got off on the right foot and just kept that momentum rolling. So I think, I would say probably this is one of our more complete games, and, I think it's happening at a good time.
And final question over here to the right, Andy Anders, 11 Warriors.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about timing. Ryan said the game has been slowing down for you, and there were a number of second window throws and things like that you made in this game. It looked like, just how have you gotten the game to slow down for you, and what's important to have good timing on a throw for a quarterback?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is film study during the week, and I think when you put the work in, you put the hours in, I think that allows you the opportunity to go step on the field and play with confidence, play a step ahead, and play with anticipation, which is extremely important at this level. And then I think the second part of that is just having trust in not only yourself, but the guys around you. And, I feel like we're starting to, peak at the right time and get things rolling, which is good. But obviously, I think that all starts during the week, the reps in practice, and then watching that extra film. I think that's really what allowed me to play a step ahead today.
Great. Kyle, thank you very much.
All right, so we heard from Ryan Day, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyle McCord. Let's get back to Devin's 3 things here. We were talking about Day building this offense. Devin, kind of continue your thought process there and what you mean about building this Ohio State offense kind of week to week.
Well, again, it's just building to what they do well. Again, I started off by saying it seemed like at the beginning of the year, we were really starting to see, Ryan Day was trying to build his offense and what he likes, or what had he been successful with. Again, stretch in the run game would be my easy example there to illustrate what I'm talking about. That play, it's still in there some, but it's really not his go-to run game anymore. Again, we're seeing a lot more of what you call gap scheme run. And for those that know, gap scheme run is you typically have a pulling lineman of some sort from the backside or the other side of the center, then where the play goes. And the front side is all able to, what they say, block down or block back towards the center. So that, again, it just seems like the offensive line's built for that. So you're starting to see more of those runs. It seems like the running backs are more of gap scheme type runners, meaning more downhill where you don't have to make a big drastic cut or change of directions. Again, basically, it's, I guess the way to oversimplify it for everybody is we're seeing a more Jim Tressel style run game, but from the gun and spread and all that, and instead of a J.K. Dobbins type run game where you need a running back that can make a big cut, change of direction. We really focused the run game on, hey, we got some big backs like Chip Trainum or a home run hitter, Travion Henderson. How do we get him downhill fast where we can make one move and just go be explosive? And that seems to be what the run game has really gone to. And then in the pass game from McCord, you build the pass game off it with a lot of play action pass. Again, to hit some of those hole shots. We saw the big, 55-yard pass to Marvin Harrison Jr. come off of that. So that's just an example of how the offense is really starting to, again, be built for what they can do and what they're good at here down the home stretch of the season.
Your third thing was Cade Stover back, and that was noticeable. They got him involved quite a bit there. Didn't play a lot in the second half, which, again, was good, kind of get him out of the game. Getting his security blanket back, it just felt like they had the whole arsenal. I mean, it sounds kind of weird to think about, but they haven't had, as they kind of brought up in the press conference, it's been weird lately. Like Henderson's out, or Ibuka's out, or Stover's out. It's been very week to week what their offense is going to look like from a personnel standpoint. So maybe getting Stover back and getting the band back together was a bigger factor than maybe we would have expected with Kyle.
Yeah, no, I think Coach Day even talked about the impact having Stover back in the run and pass game makes. He talked about how powerful of an inline blocker he is in the run game. And I think we saw that tonight. And again, Kyle McCord made a point about how good he is in the pass game. He's a big target, runs really good routes. We saw him tonight. He made a one heck of a catch on a little seam route tonight for that touchdown, and saw him adjust, go low, and make a catch. McCord put it where only he could catch it, and Stover went and caught it. So again, we see the kind of dynamic player Stover can be in the pass game. And again, like you were saying, it seems like the offense just really hasn't had everybody since the beginning of the year all together, with injury here, injury there. So it's nice to see down the home stretch starting to get guys back healthy when you need them the most. So again, Stover is just a personification of that. Again, you see the statistics right there. He was, 7 for 7 and with a touchdown. So you see the impact he has in the pass game for sure tonight.
Yeah, and then I've got a few things to kind of go over here. I know the Buckeye Weekly guys will be with us here eventually. My game ball, I know, again, I can't give it to Marvin every week. So this week it's Kyle McCord. Last week it was Marvin. Everyone got mad at me for 2 weeks ago when it wasn't Marvin. I can't just give it to Marvin every week. Fast start. Everyone's been everything that everyone has been complaining about with Kyle all year, he did tonight. He got off to a fast start. He was throwing the ball on time. He was throwing players open. He threw it downfield successfully. There's not much to, I mean, look, it's just one game, but there's not much to nitpick tonight about the way Kyle played. So he gets my game ball. Again, the fast start was enormous. Marvin just being Marvin. Second, just the only receiver in OSU history, which is insane to me. I would have swore to you up and down that David Boston did it, but he didn't apparently. And so even a Garrett Wilson, I think I would have swore to you did it. But yeah, second receiver in Ohio State's history at the position, which is as good as any school in the country. So just incredible performance. I think he is. We kind of talked about this a little bit last week about, kind of an outside dark horse Heisman contender. I think he's more than an outside dark horse now. I think he's a top 2 or 3 guy now. I think, again, as we've talked about, if he can have a big game against Michigan and a win in a couple weeks, we're getting to this point now where maybe Penix and Bo Nix, and whether it's, some people who still cling on to Caleb Williams, or some people who are maybe going to get on the Jordan Travis bandwagon, maybe even I don't think Quinn Ewers, I think missing the games probably hurts him too much, but I can see the quarterbacks maybe dividing the vote enough where, everybody's got their own quarterback they like at 1, but then Marvin's there at 2 and 3 on all these ballots. And that's how Tebow lost his second Heisman. He had a year where he had by far the most first place votes, but there were guys that had all these second and third place votes, and they kind of overtook him because he was kind of I don't know, polarizing is the right way to put it, but there were these second, third overwhelming votes that kind of pushed him over Tebow. I could see something like that happening with Marvin, where he gets all these second and third place votes. The first place votes get split amongst the quarterbacks, and here you are, and Marvin Harrison wins the Heisman. So it's possible. I think it went way up tonight. Tim Hall from 97.1 put out a crazy tweet at the end of the first quarter that I think Marvin was plus 1,400 to win the Heisman when the game kicked off. And by the end of the first quarter, it was plus 450 or something like that. His odds went from 14 to 1 to 4.5 to 1 in one quarter of football tonight. So maybe they came back a little bit since he didn't have 8 touchdowns like he was on pace for at the time. But so it's something to watch, I think. So we'll see. But your thoughts on Marvin's Heisman chances? coming out of tonight after this type of performance?
I think there you heard him at during the post game. They were talking about it's not for the best player with the best stats, for the most outstanding player. So I think not a Heisman voter by any stretch of imagination, and haven't really been able to spend a lot of attention paying attention to what's going on nationwide. But I can't imagine if that's really your criteria, that there's much better player out there right there this year in college football than Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think you did a great job explaining and looking at how they're, they got a quarterback that seems like got a hot, cold, or there's not really one that's just having a phenomenal Joe Burrow type season. For Ohio State fans, like think back to Troy Smith in 2006, where it just seemed like, all right, this is Troy's kind of all season. It seemed like, going way back to that. So it could be a year where Marvin Harrison Jr. is just like, you know what? We all kind of like these quarterbacks. There isn't one that much more better than the other for whatever your criteria is. And it could be a year where, again, the way you kind of laid it out, Marvin Harrison Jr. is just the one at the end of the day ends up with the highest total and wins the Heisman. I think definitely, Ohio State's obviously, they talked about in the game tonight, Ohio State's putting out the media to try to get him a Heisman candidacy. So, if nothing else, I keep thinking about, get a Ohio State wide receiver with everything Brian Hartline's done in the receiving room and the guys in the NFL. Talk about great recruiting pitch. Hey, by the way, we got a guy, the Heisman Trophy finalist at wide receiver. So that, that there's something to be said for that as well.
Just what Brian Hartline, just what the rest of the country wide receiver coaches need against recruiting against Brian Hartline is if Brian Hartline can now go into living rooms with the most recent Heisman Trophy winner. That'd just be tremendous. It's already an uphill battle. He's doing such a good job recruiting, so that'd be another bullet in the gun there. But last thing I had, the young defensive backs continue to impress me. I thought Malik Hartford played very well. He was in position all night where he was supposed to be. Didn't give up anything big. I thought the pass interference was touchy at best. Jermaine Matthews continues to play like a veteran. Looks to me like he's going to be the next big-time corner here at Ohio State. And you see Calvin Simpson-Hunt. I'm glad Ryan Day mentioned this. I was going to mention too. Calvin Simpson-Hunt comes in, and the first thing Michigan State does is let's throw a screen at him and get two linemen coming at him. He comes in. He's exactly where he's supposed to be. He takes on the blocks. They make a play. Now, the play got called back for holding anyway, but he got in there. He was right where he was supposed to be. He didn't panic. The depth that they have built in the secondary with these young guys, especially coming in ready to play, I think has been almost a season saver because they've had a lot of injuries in the secondary.
I think if you're going to give out raises at the end of the season there at the athletic department, Walton Iliano, they need some raises because what they've done with a secondary, as much maligned as it was last season, and have Josh Proctor as your starting safety having the year he has, and he's been there. I think he was on the 2015 Ohio State team, it seems like. So, and to have the year he's having is, there's a lot to be said for that. These young the cornerback play in general. And again, like you said, these young guys rolling in there and being ready to play immediately. I mean, we saw with Simpson Hunt tonight and the year Jermaine Matthews is having. There's that's just incredible job by Coach Walton at the corners and Coach Iliano with the secondary. That that's the only way I could say to sum it up best is both those guys need raises when this year's over for the performance, the job they've done with the secondary this year.
And we want to once again thank our sponsor for the instant reaction show, WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a better by allowing you to sync all of your sports books in one app, track all of your bets in one place, so you can see your current action, your betting history, and stats. And you can even sign up for new sports books if you're not using a sports book. They have a good sign-up offer, sign-up bonus. You can sign up for that sports book and collect that bonus through the WagerWire app, so you don't have to, toggle between 5 or 6 different apps on your phone. You can do everything in WagerWire. Also have a great Twitter account. You can follow them at WagerWire on Twitter, X. App Store, Play Store. Search for WagerWire to download the app. Please use promo code Buckeye Huddle, all one word. Just lets them know that we are sending traffic their way and that their sponsorship of this show is helping them out in terms of word of mouth. So We appreciate anyone who does that. I think the Buckeye Weekly guys are ready. They are. I'm getting a thumbs up. So, Tony, Tom, we need a fast start from you guys tonight. We got a fast start from the offense tonight, so we need you guys to get off to a fast start too. Don't let us down.
We'll do what we can, Mark.
We'll get off to a fast start, but the second half of the show is going to be real boring and pretty cold.
Going to dial it down some. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Devin, for taking care of the first hour or so of this. I want to welcome you all to the Buckeye Weekly podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman, here as always with Tom Orr. Tom, how is it going?
Boy, that was a real exciting first half, and voice trails off, mumble. How are you doing?
Doing well. That first half, Kyle McCord, I tweeted out the stats, Tom, over at halftime. Over the last 10 quarters against Michigan State, Ohio State starting quarterbacks had completed 74 of 86 passes, 86% completion for 1,056 yards with 15 touchdowns and 1 interception. Yes, Tom, that is 15 touchdown passes and 12 incompletions in the last 10 quarters against Michigan State.
Do you remember when Michigan State used to give Ohio State fits? They beat them twice in the span of 3 years, in 2013 and 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that feels like a while ago, doesn't it?
It was a while ago. Super chat?
We do have a super chat.
Here we go.
Blue Wolverine says, enjoying the show, looking forward to a competitive game on the 25th. What a wild season. And it does, watching Michigan, that was a good win for Michigan. And, there's always the question, is there going to be, when you have a week as Michigan did, how are people going to respond? They came out, they responded fine. It was not, run Penn State off the field or anything. It was a very good performance against a good team in a tough place to win. But I also didn't look at that and go, well, Ohio State's got no shot against this team, because this was finally Michigan getting tested.
Mm-hmm.
And Michigan, showed up. They were a good team, but this was not like, oh boy, it's the 95 Nebraska Cornhuskers and everybody just better get out of their way.
I wonder how a Penn State team coached by Bill O'Brien would have done instead of
I wonder
James
how
Franklin.
a Penn State team coached by Sharon Moore. I mean, we could have Tony, let's not do the 2-point conversion game theory conversation right now, because we do have to talk about Ohio State.
Yeah,
we should talk about the Ohio State game at some point on this here Ohio State.
Yeah, well,
football
let's
channel.
do it with the super chat here from Ryan Dawes. How many interceptions did the Buckeyes drop tonight? Still a good game by the secondary. I saw Jermaine Matthews late kind of got a finger jammed or something on one that he jumped, and then he had to come out, and Calvin Simpson Hunt went in, and then Michigan State immediately attacked him with a screen pass with like 3 offensive linemen coming towards him, but he still stuck his nose in there and went after it. But
the Jordan Hancock had one that I
did.
thought, oh boy, that is you just about had 6 points there.
Yeah, that would have been another one for him. I don't recall any others. Go ahead and throw them in the chat if you're remembering any. But interceptions, if the quarterback was more accurate, some of the overthrows there was not an opportunity to catch.
Yeah.
Super chat from Dave K. Kids are still up, so please keep it PG. Don't be Sharon Moore. Now, I did hear some of that in the post game or just off camera from that. I guess he was. We don't need to get into it, but I guess he was also crying during the post game. I missed that.
It was not like, oh, he's a little verklempt. It was like Michael Jordan meme crying. It was aggressive and
aggressive.
For this thing that has just sort of happened to Jim Harbaugh without anything, Jim Harbaugh having anything to do with anything about anything.
Tom, please save it for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now it's about Ohio State.
Yes, it is about Ohio State. Yes, Sharon Moore basically did the old George Carlin 7 things you can't say on TV in about a 25-second post-game interview. So it was.
So what was this? This was live.
It was live, and whoever was on the dump button for Fox was asleep at the switch.
Well, they let Charles Woodson cuss in the pregame show, so I guess it's just.
How are we going to beat game day?
That's right. You got to go a little blue. Hey,
hey, there. Just got that.
Good night, everybody. That'll do it. We're out of here. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, this was in terms of a game plan from Ohio State. This was, first of all, the Heisman Trophy is going to be handed out in about a month or so, and It's time to get some stats up there for Marvin Harrison Jr. We're sure how a lot of the first half felt, but also when you have a player who the opposing team simply does not have any answer for, you should throw him the football or hand him the football. However you want to get him the football, you should put the football in his hands and let him do crazy stuff that no one else can match up with. I feel like we've been saying this all year, and then you see what it looks like when, they've played plenty of teams that have not been able to match up with Michigan State. I'm going to be so interested to talk to Ross Fulton about, okay, why were they able to do this just at will against Michigan State? Because he finished with 120-something yards. 149 yards receiving, and also 7 catches on 9 targets, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving, and then 1 run for 19 yards. So he averaged 19 yards a rush and 21.3 yards per pass. So that seems pretty good. I'm going to be very interested to talk to Ross about, okay, why were they able to do this against Michigan State when they haven't been able to do it in the past? Because it seemed like the deep shot that was like that 57-yarder, it seemed like that was maybe a little bit underthrown. Was it? I mean,
it was 95% perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then there was the one that was in the end zone that was, maybe a little behind him. That was the incompletion. But it felt like there was just no answer from Michigan State on that all night.
Well, and Ryan Day even said it just a little bit ago that they were doubling him some, but Marvin was still getting open against the doubles, and then he said, I think that deep pass in the third quarter was also double, but he ran right through it. Just ran past the corner, ran past the safety. It's like, yeah. And then as Kyle McCord said, he's open whenever, there's times where he's being doubled, but he still gets open. And they ran some nice corner routes on that double coverage and, dropping in between the safety and the corner, and got him involved quickly. Now, Tom, I don't know if you believe this or not, because I think we both all of us came in expecting them to target Marvin Harrison because you do have a Heisman thing going on, but that had nothing to do with any of this, according to Ryan Day. It's not about building up stats for the Heisman, because he did say the Heisman goes to the most outstanding player, not the best stats. Now, Marvin has some really good stats, but you can't focus on that. Even though, Tom, I'm surprised they didn't get 4 touchdowns for him, because obviously they were trying, and I don't know why they were trying, other than he's a really good player, but also
it's one of those things where you can't say, if you're a director of a movie, you can't be like, this movie is Oscar bait. It's like, no, we are just doing our very best artistically. And, if it happens to get recognized by the Academy, so be it. And if people happen to be watching a primetime game that they're probably going to tune out of at halftime, but if they happen to be watching the first half of a primetime game and see Marvin Harrison scoring in multiple ways and in making big plays, then, hey, listen, if that happens to work out to be, Heisman voters are watching, hey, that's so be it. That's not certainly not what we're intending. Ryan Dawes says, were you guys surprised to see Lincoln Keenholz?
No, because Devin Brown tweaked his ankle pregame.
Okay.
So that's what that was about. That's why he didn't play. And watching pregame, then it was Lincoln Keenholz throwing second behind McCord when they were doing warm-ups and early on. So that's why he got in there, and I was glad to see it, because this was his first action of the year. So they let him throw it, which is something they haven't done for a true freshman since Kyle McCord, maybe.
Yeah, I thought that was great. That was because Devin Brown didn't throw a pass last year, right? No, so I thought that was great. I didn't realize that Devin Brown had tweaked his ankle. At one point, I was walking second half, I think, maybe right after halftime, I was walking down the field and walked past the OSU bench and saw Kyle McCord on the bike, on the south end of the stadium. I texted you guys, hey, Kyle McCord's on the bike. Just to let you know, hey, keep an eye on. And then as I walked about halfway down the bench, there's Devin Brown on another bike. And I was like, Devin Brown's on another bike. And it's like, are the quarterbacks doing a spin class? What's going on? But yeah, that's hey, it's cold. You're keep the blood flowing, keep the muscles warm. But that was great. That was, I've many times had issues with how Ryan Day utilizes those precious few opportunities in the second halves of games. This time, no notes. Great. You got the wide receivers out. You got Travion Henderson out. I don't think Henderson or any of the ones on the wide receivers played much, if at all, in the second half?
Just Marv.
Just Marv. Okay. And then you had, so you're getting, Jaden Ballard and those guys are in very early. You still have the first team offensive line in there with Kyle because you don't want Kyle to get hit. And then you get him out and you have Lincoln Keenhall's getting reps and you get all your twos, had like the whole fourth quarter. I think I saw 3 different guys playing center. And like, that's it. That's what you do. You get all these guys out and, keep them healthy. That is goal number 1 right now is goal number 1 is beat Minnesota next week. Goal number 2 is keep all these guys healthy for Michigan because Minnesota just got firebombed by Purdue today. So that's probably not going to be, next week is probably going to be second verse, same as the first in terms of this 2-game homestand. But if you can keep these guys healthy, that's going to be big. As far as health updates, was there any kind of update in terms of Emeka Ibuka? And was there any update on Mike Hall?
Well, no, nothing on Mike Hall. Emeka, nothing there that I don't think there's anything said there. It didn't seem serious. I mean, he pulled himself. He limped off, and Mike Hall left for maybe the tent, and I don't know that he ever came back. But again, I'm not going to complain here. But it's impossible to see the numbers from the press box with these jerseys. This is not an angry old man yelling at the clouds. This is legit. You can't see the numbers, so you try to see who is playing, and you have to just go based on like I could tell that's Hero Canoe. And you can't see the numbers, but it's like that looks like Hero Canoe. But I don't know that Mike Hall came back. It doesn't seem serious, but and maybe I don't know that it is. Kate Stover obviously just played 1 half. That was not because of injury, but just because if you play more than 1 half, it's unfair. And we know the Big Ten does not like unfair competitive advantages, So 7 catches in 1 half for an Ohio State tight end. I'm guessing that's a record, but I'm not going to say it is.
7 catches on 7 targets.
Yeah.
7 catches on 7 targets, 79 yards. Super chat from Mark Fetters. Has Kyle McCord taken the next step?
As long as he doesn't get rushed, yes.
Yeah.
As long as everybody plays, no. But this was, he's had some bad footwork without being pressured, and he had plenty of time in this one. And said during his post-game interview that he spent this week was focused on his footwork, getting that right. And Ryan Day said it, and you could just see he was really comfortable, not pressured out there. Plenty of time to throw, but stepping into stuff, and even a couple of where he just throws off his back foot because he's just lofting it up for Marv. Like he was pinpoint on his passes today, threw some very CJ Stroudian passes in there, dropping some dimes on people.
CJ Stroudian is one of the kindest adjectives you can throw on a quarterback these days. Super chat from Dave K. Kyle looked more comfortable than he has all year. Ankle healing? ? Game slowing down? ? Michigan State sucks? ? All of the above? ? I think it is definitely D. All of the above. But he said in the post game. Ryan talked about it. The fact that the game was slowing down for him, and Kyle talked about the fact that it's that's just film study. That is just being in the film room and you recognize stuff, and you don't have the oh crap what's going on moment because your brain has seen it and it's like, okay, I know what this is, and now I know what it is, and I know what the response is. That's what you talk about when the game's slowing down is you don't have that like panic moment because you've seen that panic moment, and I think a lot of those panic moments have resulted in the intentional grounding penalties that have seemingly been a week-to-week thing. Didn't have one tonight. That's good. That is a sign of progress. Quarterbacks are going to grow over the course of the season. The quarterback in week 2 is not the quarterback in week 11 or 12. That's unless something has gone horribly wrong, and that has generally not been at all the case with Ryan Day quarterbacks.
No, and Ryan Day has talked about Kyle McCord. When he finds the speed of the game, he plays better. He had the speed of the game down from kickoff, basically, in this one, and five touchdowns and 6 possessions in the first half, and everything was firing. This is the Ohio State offense that we expected, or that we expected before the season, because again, this is an offense under Ryan Day that always scores 40 points per game. They've always averaged over 40 points per game since he got to Ohio State. So you wouldn't expect that to end now with a new quarterback, because all of the other new quarterbacks under Ryan Day have done it as well. So why wouldn't Kyle McCord? But of course, Tom, they did fail to score 40 points in this one. So same old. But 35 in the first half, or whatever it was, you'll take that obviously. And they were firing like they should when they have all of their guys back. And the thing is, they've got them back, but they're still not as healthy as maybe they will be in 2 weeks.
Right. And the other thing is they had all their guys and then they played them for a half. They finished with 38 points, and that did raise their season average because they were at 32.8. So they were like just over a touchdown over the Ferentz Meridian. And so they put up 35 in the first half, which I'll do the math for you. If you do that again in the second half, that's 70. Now, they didn't need to do that because I think they have, as much as they want to, say that they're not focusing on Michigan, like absolutely you are managing every part of this program right now with, hey, the Michigan game's in 14 days. Like you can say that that's not, obviously they have to they're paying attention, they practice, and they talked about them, they watch Michigan State film, all that. You're managing your program to that game right now, as well you should. And, so they put up 35 in the first half. They very easily could have put up whatever number they wanted to. If they wanted to hang 90, they probably could have pressed, run some tempo, and gotten to 90. But that doesn't really that doesn't accomplish anything. You're just trying to, at this point to beat Minnesota and get to Michigan with giving yourself the best opportunity you have to beat Michigan.
Do we want to take this optimism and this happy note that everybody is going through right now and turn it all down and go with the super chat here from Rick Reese?
Are we on the internet? Rick Reese says, are we going to fall for any more fake punts this year? Hope we're looking for a new special teams coach. Now, the fake punt, they had the regular defense out, right?
They had the defense, but they also, I think, had a punt returner back there just in case. But yeah.
That was like the most screamingly obvious fake punt situation. Like they will just, they call it punt safe, and you basically have the regular defense out there because you're assuming, okay, they're going to do something stupid and try and get this. And they did something stupid and they got it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much you can fault, because even when it happened, I'm like, is that Jim Knowles' fault or is that Parker Fleming's fault? Who do we blame there? And it's just, I think what you blame is field position and the fact that they only needed like a yard or something like that. So it's like, this is a tough thing to stop. And then you go with an awkward, you don't know what to expect defensively. And it's different than facing an offense and the linemen and the gaps and all of that. That's all a little bit different. So you're just kind of at a little bit of a disadvantage there because Michigan State knows what they're doing. You don't know what they're doing. Even though you might suspect it, and still you still have to defend it and then keep them from getting a yard.
Right. Yeah. I do want to get to something here. Kyle McCord's performance versus Michigan State versus JJ McCarthy's performance versus Michigan State.
Very similar.
If we can punch that graphic up, Michigan State has not been very good. They have, as you may be aware, Tony, they've had some off-field stuff this year, which has led to a potentially like Pinstripe Bowl maybe team being sub Pinstripe Bowl level. But I mean, you look at the stats between the two, very similar games. I mean, the Michigan people are going to say like, oh well, we got 49 and you only got 38, and you gave up 3 points. And again, either of these teams could have basically named their score against Michigan State. But, you look at them and 21-27, 287 yards, 4 touchdowns for McCarthy, 24-31, 335 yards, 3 touchdowns for McCord. That's close enough for government work, as they say.
I believe McCord was 21 of 25 at the half and was 270 some yards. So he had almost essentially gotten to McCarthy's numbers there. And I was going to tweet that out, but it's like, you know what? My mentions are trash right now, so I don't want to make things any worse. Tom,
can I just tell you my workflow?
Yes.
Type, tweet, mute this conversation. Just 1, 2, 3. 3 steps to a happy life online.
Well, and there are some of those that I do. It's it's like a grenade. You throw it and you run away because and sometimes there's going to be some collateral damage in the mentions, but this is going to be a long 2 weeks on Twitter and I'm just going to have to mute everything. And the thing is,
Ron Swanson throwing computer in dumpster.gif. That's Tony operating Twitter the next 2 weeks.
and then say Michigan beats Ohio State. 2 weeks after that, for the 2 weeks after that, my mentions are going to be trash. And it's not like I've said anything that should result in that, other than I'm stating some facts, and then people don't like that. Like, let's not get into it.
Let's not get into it.
There's Sunday, there's Monday, there's Tuesday, there's Wednesday, there's Thursday, there's Friday.
This was another game where having Travion Henderson in there, this was not, Travion Henderson had back-to-back 200 total yard games. It was not anywhere close to that tonight. 13 carries, 63 yards, 4.8 yards per carry, but just shy of 5 yards a carry, and on a long of 13. Yep. So this was, that is 4 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards. I mean, that's what that is. And going into the game, that was my expectation. You look at the advanced stats, and Ohio State, the Michigan State rushing defense against the Ohio State rushing offense was the one area where it was like, okay, I sort of expect that they'll probably be able to keep Ohio State in check. And they did, but, 4.8 yards per carry, that's fine. They averaged 5.5 yards per carry overall. But, then he had a couple plays in the passing game, 2 catches, 14 yards. He's not, and that's 2 catches on 2 targets. Like it was very efficient. He did not have any explosive plays, but it was just a solid night. And then the one nice run for the, it was a 9-yarder for the touchdown, but that was that was a nice little burst, and kind of broke through a tackle inside the 5 to get in there.
I like the way they keep using Xavier Johnson, and they were doing some more just running back with him in this one. I believe he had 2 of their 3 longest plays. He had a 27-yarder and a 27-yard run, and then he had a 31-yard catch. So he had 2 of the 3 longest plays for the Buckeyes. Obviously, Marvin Harrison with the 57-yarder, and he's a guy that they were using in the same way, with kind of the same rush every time with him. But it was effective, and seems like they'll be building something off of that, because when he was coming in, they would go to him essentially, and that's what the 21 personnel we were talking about before the game, 2 running backs, and he's definitely a running back in that situation because he is lined up in the backfield, but you can do more with him, and so it'll be interesting to see how they continue to build off of that, and just all of these different things that are coming together. You're seeing it in different ways, but you're not seeing it in every way yet, because they're going to build off of these things.
And he feels like, they talked about Sonny Styles as being a Swiss Army knife. Xavier Johnson feels a little like a Swiss Army knife, where you have all of these little different, like, specialized jobs. And it's like, he's not necessarily your best receiver. He's not necessarily your best running back, but there's certain things that it's like he is just the perfect tool for the job. And it feels like they're finding new ways for him to do those things. Super chat from Jeff Hines. Very telling that 2 Michigan alum judges rejected temporary restraining order efforts. Enjoy your hotel rooms, Jimmy. Can't wait to tail you down in 2 weeks. So, I think that's not quite what happened. I'm not going to pretend I have an incredible grasp on all of this, because I've kind of been running around all day, and I was not around for when this all broke. I don't think 2 different judges rejected it, and I don't think anyone actually rejected it. I think it was, we need to have a hearing in order to, yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't agree to the emergency injunction, but you're going to have a hearing on Friday. It sounds like next week. So, I'm not going to play legal scholar here and speculate on what this all means. But, it didn't seem to have a real huge impact on Michigan in State College. So
no, tell me if you believe this comment from Blue Wolverine in the chat. Michigan fans will be completely intolerable if they win out. Do you agree with that? Do you think is that the most accurate statement you've ever heard?
That doesn't sound like the internet that I know. Let's be honest. There is not really a fan base that's super right.
Understanding.
There is not a fan base that I can think of right now that is. If Kansas football won the Big 12, it would be like, you know what, good for them. But I mean, I remember when Clemson was, the fun, scrappy underdog, and it was like, oh, Clemson, good for you. And it took about 6 months to be like, oh, okay, so. JG says, off the top of your minds, who is your band?
Because we were talking about the concert I was at in the chat. So I think JG wants to know who your bands are.
Who our bands are.
What am I listening to right now? Honestly, Tom, actually, and Kevin, I've been just like last 3 weeks, I've just been listening to Cracker from not just the 90s, but also like 2005s and 10s. Just so I'm old school. It's not even old school. It's pretty new school for me. It's like 15-ish years old.
I can recommend some podcasts for you. Would you like me to recommend some podcasts?
It's called drinking tea. Wait, that's a commercial.
No, I can't listen to podcasts when I'm working.
So getting us accidentally back on topic, it was so interesting in the first half because Ohio State had, first of all, Michigan State finished with 3.4 yards per play. Michigan State was at like 6.6 or 6.8 yards per play for a decent chunk of the first half. One of the people I was talking to on the field said, this is the most uninspiring shutout you've ever seen, where Michigan State kept driving down the field and, getting the ball into plus territory and not doing anything with it. I mean, their first 4 drives, 7 plays, 36 yards, missed a field goal, 4 plays, 30 yards, punt, 9 plays, 32 yards, punt, 6 plays, 19 yards, punt. I mean, and then after that, it was 3 plays, -1, 1 play, -3, 3 plays, 5, and then, 7 for 27, 10 for 30, 3 for 5, 3 for -3. But the first 3 drives, it was kind of like, I know Ohio State's missing 3 starters, but it was a little off, it felt like, for the Ohio State defense.
Well, and I think one of the things as I'm watching that, you could just count on Michigan State to fail at some point. So this is one of those where you could just do a bend but don't break, and eventually this 3rd and 6 is not going to be completed.
Bend but they'll break.
Yes, exactly. And you saw 2 of 14 on 3rd downs for Michigan State.
Yeah.
The key was to get them into a 3rd down, but they were 2 of 2 on 4th downs. But their scoring drive was 19 yards?
Yes.
So
and can we talk about for a moment? You're on the road.
Oh yeah.
You're a massive underdog. Your defense has given up. I think what was the score at that point? It was that was the first drive. Ohio State has just marched right down the field and scored a touchdown. You're not playing Iowa. This is not a game that's going to end up 12-10. Like, you're going to have to punch the ball in the end zone. And it was 4th and 5 or something, and
4th and 5.
4th and 5, and they lined up for a 56-yard field goal. I know your kicker's got a big leg, but he, no matter how far he kicks it, even if it's between the posts, it's only worth 3 points. Like, you gotta play to win the football game, and what your defense is. You know what the Ohio State offense is. Did you come in under the impression that field goals were going to win you this game? Because I have bad news, friend.
The other thing I didn't like about that from the Ohio State side, why didn't you have anybody back there to potentially return that? Because it's a 56-yarder that it was short. It was a little wide. It may have been able to be caught because it landed towards the out of bounds of the end zone.
You want to put the Ohio State special teams on the edge of hey, well, this is a little out of the ordinary.
But hey, there should have been somebody back there.
So you're telling me? Yeah, I mean, believe me, I am always in favor of kick sixes. But, So I thought that was interesting. And then there was another one where he lined up. The one that they made later was another 4th and 3 or something.
Yeah,
and
it
was 21. 52.
Yeah.
It would have been good for 54.
And it was 35-0 at that point, I believe, or 28-0.
It was at least 21-0. And it was just okay, so now you get to say
21-0.
Now you get to say you didn't get shut out by both Michigan and Ohio State in the same.
At least it was in the second quarter.
Play to win, man. Play to win, and especially you're an interim head coach. He's an Ohio native, I think. So I think he said that he was an Ohio native in the post-game interview. And there are a bunch of Ohio kids on this team. you want them to go home for Christmas and be like, well, we didn't get shut out.
Yes.
Take that.
No, you don't want to be shut out. And so you got that points out early. Now you can go try to win. Now that you're no longer getting shut out, now we can play to win.
Pressure's off, and then it was just an avalanche of points after that. Do we want to do a little bit of hit a couple of the interviews you sent? I know we've got Sonny Styles.
Yeah, I'm not sure entirely all of what Sonny Styles will listen to, but he did talk about being 2 weeks in a row now and replacing Lathan Ransom, how he's comfortable there. He's been comfortable there because that's what he came to Ohio State to play. That's what he played last year as well. So there's that, just missing some of the guys on defense and rallying around not having Tommy Eichenberg in there and, stuff like that.
Guys down this week, I think guys were able to step up and execute.
You didn't miss Tommy that much?
Yeah, obviously that's my brother. We miss him out there, but like I said, guys got to step up and they got to execute.
What did you think of McCord to Harrison tonight? Did you see the work?
That was great. You love seeing that when you're on the sideline as defense. See your offense is clicking and rolling.
Yeah. How was Malik?
I think Malik did a good job. He's a young guy, but I think he does well knowing his job, and I think he's getting better every week.
It's like being the old guy.
Yeah, it's crazy to say I'm the old guy out there, but being out there with Malik, obviously I played a little bit more football than him, so I think I stepped into that leadership role. Guys going down like Lathan and Proctor, so it's kind of boosting me a little bit in the leadership role, and I'm trying to take advantage of that.
How about the sack you had tonight? Run us through that.
It's just a little boundary pressure we got, so I ended up coming out free. It's pretty difficult when our D line is that good, and then you got me blitzing. It kind of makes it hard for you to try and pick me up.
Yeah, Sonny, this time last year you were one of those players getting into the second half when the game's out of hand. What's it like now to kind of be able to watch some guys that are beneath you get in?
It's great. I love seeing the younger guys get in there and make plays. They work hard in practice every week, so for them to get that moment out there and take advantage, it's great.
Yeah, Coach Day was talking about Calvin tonight. Had a great play on the screen. Was there anyone that stuck out to you, I guess, you were watching?
That was a great play by him. I think he's pretty physical on the offensive line and got off the block and made the play, so that was a great play. But, I think there's a lot of guys who stepped up today. It's hard to pick one.
When the offense is humming like it was today, what does that do for you guys as a defense?
I think it gives you a little bit of extra boost. It's great to see your offense flying around, deep balls, deep shots, touchdown. It gives you a little bit of pep in your step, if you know what I mean.
So how much pep in your step was added by the fact that Ryan Day said he cut back in practice? How much did that help?
Yeah, I think later in the season he's trying to take care of our bodies. Coach Day he's a player's coach, and he hears players out and tries to make sure we're feeling good. I think it definitely helped. My body played great today, so I think other guys feel the same.
Mentally, how tough was it this week? This was a team that only had one Big Ten win, and there's a lot going on in college football right now. How tough was it to focus?
I think for us it's not very hard to focus. We're so focused on the goal. Every week we have in front of us, they're keeping us from that goal. So there's really no challenge of focus because we're focused on getting where we need to go.
Did you watch any of the Penn State Michigan game today? I know you couldn't have sat down with Pat.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. Two really good teams. It's really good.
Sonny, how are you adjusting to stepping in for Lathan in what's somewhat a different role?
Obviously Lathan's a really good player, so I'm trying to just step up and make sure there's no drop off. But I'm actually pretty comfortable with the position. That's where I came in playing it as a freshman last year. So I'm pretty comfortable with the position, so it's not too hard for me.
Do you like it better than nickel?
I like both. You get kind of a little bit of different stuff at the boundary safety, but I like both.
What do you feel like you can showcase the boundary safety?
I think the boundary safety you get a little bit more in the middle of the field action. You get a lot of run fits, so I like that. And you still get some of the similar pressures that you get from the nickel.
Is it good for you to be learning these different positions early on in your career?
I've kind of been learning all the positions since last year. When I came in as a freshman, when we were going throughout practice, even though I wasn't playing, I was still playing all the three positions. So I was able to learn all of them, and I think it helps me help raise my football IQ, being able to know all the different positions, and then start making me kind of understanding what the Mike might be doing, what the Will might be doing, where's the front at. So I think it gave me a bigger understanding of the defense as a whole.
Speaking of the Mike, what was it like to see Cody kind of slide in for Tom?
Cody's a great player. He's obviously playing a little bit here and there throughout the year, but I think one thing about Cody, he's going to execute. He's a great leader. I think he's one of those Mr. Perfect guy. He does everything right.
Jim Knowles said he's kind of like Tommy and that like he knows where everything's supposed to be on the defense. Do you get that sense too?
Yeah, like I said, he's like that Mr. Perfect. He knows everything. He does the right thing all the time. So there was no worry with him stepping up and doing that.
Was it strange not having Tommy's voice out there though? I know he.
Yeah, a little bit. I told him before the game I was gonna miss him out there a little bit, but yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, guys got to step up. There can't be any drop off.
So have you gotten more comfortable these last 2 weeks there, or have you been? Obviously, you're comfortable there, but have you gotten more comfortable?
Yeah, I was kind of already comfortable with that. I think the biggest difference was going from 30 plays to 70 plays. It's a little bit different on your body, but my body feels pretty good though.
Thanks, Sonny. So Sonny Styles, 7 tackles and a forced fumble last week. This week finishes with 3 tackles, a sack, and of course he's throwing a tackle for loss with that sack. As the strong safety, the Bandit, 2 weeks now, replacing Lathan Ransom. Hasn't really been tested and won't be tested next week. Will be tested in 2 weeks, but you've got this runway for him to prepare for that. And he obviously said he's comfortable. He looks comfortable out there. You don't notice like, oh, geez, he missed something there, or nobody's attacking him right now. So I had questions of whether or not he could be a deep safety. Also had questions of whether or not he could play nickel. At this point, he's not doing anything where you're like, oh, he shouldn't be doing that.
No, he feels like he's doing what they need him to do, and you're not getting tested right now in a way that they're not playing USC or something like that where they're slinging the ball all over the field. Michigan does that to a certain degree, but not to the degree that like a USC does, or like a Tua-led or Bryce Young-led Alabama. So maybe you can just keep getting away with it, because it feels like the athleticism and the awareness that covers for a lot, a multitude of sins. And I just feel like I keep needing to remind myself and everyone else, he should technically be a true freshman right now. That is just one of those things that's like, I feel like we're sort of contractually obligated to just remind you, hey, he should be a true freshman right now. This is not normal what you're watching. So if there is a mistake at some point, what do you expect? He should be a true freshman right now.
Yeah, and he's the elder statesman of the 2 safeties that we're starting today with him and Blake Hartford, and showing that leadership and all of the growth that he made last year, just continuing right now.
Super chat from Wingman Ted. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the false start, everybody but the center call is easily the best call in sports. It's great because the penalty is called on everyone except for the one guy who screwed up.
Yeah. It's kind of like if the Big Ten were to suspend you for something that you haven't done, but everybody around you has done. Right? Is that what you're saying?
I would never say that, Tony. I'm trying to keep peace in the chat.
Well, I'm not looking at the chat, so go at it. No, please be kind.
So let's hear a little bit from Michigan State head coach Harlan Barnett. Just a couple. This is just a couple quick ones, like a minute each. Just want to. Always good to hear from the opposing coach. The first one we're going to go to. It starts with a question about Marvin Harrison, but then he ends up getting asked. It's just he sort of asked about Marvin Harrison and the challenge of facing Marvin Harrison, but then the second question is about so you've played Washington and Michigan and Ohio State this year. Do you have any thoughts on this? And he doesn't really want to give you here's how I would rank those 3 teams. The quarterback Hauser was asked the same thing, hey, you face these 3 defenses, and he's like, they're all good. And here's Harlan Barnett with his thoughts on Marvin Harrison, and then the three potential playoff teams that Michigan State has faced this year.
Oh, he's a tough matchup. He's one of the best receivers in the country. And so we knew that. Wish we'd have, still did some things better. Don't get me wrong. We didn't want to just give him up some of the things that he did get. But and then Dylan Tatum, he's going to probably be out for the rest of the year with his injury. But he'll be back strong next year for sure. they're good. They're a good team. All three of those teams are good teams, and so it was a great experience. It'll be interesting to see how this thing all works out when it's all said and done, as far as playoffs and all that kind of stuff. But they're a good team.
All right, so that was one thing from Harlan Barnett. The other one I wanted to play for you, he got asked, he started getting asked, I think, about one of the players who's from the state of Ohio, and then it sort of turned into more of a broad answer about the relationship between Michigan State and the state of Ohio in general, because they have pulled a lot of talent out of the state of Ohio over the years. Harlan Barnett himself is a Cincinnati native. Because he's from Cincinnati, Tony, I need to tell you where he went to high school. That would be Princeton High School. He is, but he is one of many, many Spartans with ties to Ohio over the years. You'll hear him name check Percy Snow in this answer, which is pretty much an automatic, like, all right, we're going to get this on the show kind of thing. But I just thought this was kind of an interesting answer in terms of, I don't think Ohio State looks at Michigan State as, like a team that they spend a ton of time thinking about. But obviously there are people on the Michigan State team, past and present, who spend a lot of time thinking about Ohio State.
It was a minor injury. He should be fine. Nick should be fine. He's a competitor. He brings energy every day. Like you say, he's an Ohio guy, so that's always been a big deal for us at Michigan State. Even back when I played, Ohio guys trying to come to Ohio State and get a win, or even if they came to us, we're trying to win. I played with Travis Davis. We came here in '87. Travis had 5 sacks. He's Ohio guy. Percy Snow, Ohio guy. Myself, Ohio guy. So we took pride in playing against these guys and beating these guys. And then since I've been a coach, recruited a lot of guys from Ohio. And whenever we would come down here and play, or they came up to play us, was always talking about how we want to beat these guys because we're from Ohio, and and everybody on the team would always try to be fired up for them because we were always fired up to try to beat Michigan for the Michigan guys. So the Michigan guys were fired up for the Ohio guys when we tried to beat Ohio State. So it was always a very, very important deal to try to do that.
All right, so that was Harlan Barnett, the interim Michigan State coach, obviously not in a great spot. I mean, I'm sure it's cool to be the head coach, even the acting head coach. I was thinking about that last week when we were at Rutgers and the year that it was like Nunzio Campanile after Chris Ash got fired. And, I'm sure it's cool. Sharon Moore got to do it today for Michigan in a somewhat different situation. Larry Johnson got to do it for Ohio State during the 2020 season when Ryan Day had COVID. It's it's a cool opportunity, but yeah, this is not probably a fair assessment of his head coaching abilities because it is a rough, a not great team that has had some very, very bad circumstances thrown upon it.
Yeah, it's no win situation, but it's an opportunity to get experience, and sometimes you get decent wins like last week against Nebraska that people weren't expecting you to get, but they're still fighting. And I think that's what a lot of people will take from this is the team hasn't quit.
Yeah. Super chat from Mike Farino. I'm late today. Might have already been asked, but what did Michigan State do today that he always comes out and tries to end their program in the first half, then dial it back to like 2 in the second half?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things, how Jim Tressel, we'd see 17 to 13 games all season long, but whenever it's Northwestern and his good buddy Fitz, we'll just throw like 52 points on them. Like, the Ohio State Buckeyes under Jim Tressel probably doubled their regular season point total average against Northwestern, and Pat Fitzgerald couldn't say enough good things about Jim Tressel. Jim Tressel couldn't say enough good things about Pat Fitzgerald, but I don't know if he loved it, but he just destroyed it. Maybe it was because Pat's a good guy. He'll understand. And then just throw 1,000 points on him. I don't know what it is about Michigan State that Ryan Day has. I don't think it's a burr. I think it's just bad secondaries is a big thing.
Yeah. Michigan State has been not good and has been particularly bad in terms of the secondary. Yeah. That's exactly it. I mean, you go back to the 2021 season. That team was 130th in some pass defense categories, and that was not what you wanted to be when you were facing a team with C.J. Stroud and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and Jackson Smith-Njigba. That was not a winning. That is not a winning matchup for you if that is one of the weaknesses of your team. Do we want to run through a couple of the starred comments, or let's hit a couple questions.
I'm having too much fun talking to my people.
Sorry to make it work.
It's right off the air. Wingman Jay, did anybody see a strange-looking janitor walking around vacuuming stuff up in the stadium today?
I mean, of course. I mean, that's every game we'll see strangers vacuuming stuff. I don't know.
I will tell you that if you walk around a stadium full of Ohio State people with a cell phone and a tripod, and then you set those up, more than one person will ask you if you were Connor Stallions.
Really?
Did you know? Yes. I went way up to the top of C-Deck on the north end of the horseshoe to get the big, hey, the fireworks are going off picture, and set up a camera to get, the video of it. Oh, hey, look at that. Boom. Our producer, our friends in South Florida, right on top of things. Yes, there is the picture. I'm so annoyed. I went just a little too high because I wanted to make sure I got the fireworks in the shot, but then even as wide as I could get, I cut off the bottom of the end zone. It just incredibly annoyed by that.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's okay.
my eye can't. I missed the end zone. If that was in the picture, the flag, if that was in the picture, and you've got so much sky above the top of the fireworks, like,
believe me, no one is more aware of the framing issues with this photo than I am.
This is also a podcast, so I'm just making sure people understand why you're so frustrated and why I'm taking such joy in it.
I was worried that you were just taking joy in my failures, but
no, I'm doing it for the people.
I'm glad.
It's not, Tom, it's not about me taking joy in your failures. It's about me allowing the people to take joy in your failures.
Dave K says, "Happy birthday, Kevin. You are probably one of the top 3 guys on the Buckeye Weekly team."
Well,
okay. First of all, I got to correct you on
yes.
something. His birthday was like a week ago.
Days ago.
He's like a 10-year-old girl. Like,
Yeah.
It's my birthday
It's
month.
my birthday month. PG. Keep it PG, Kevin.
Yeah.
Shut up. I didn't say what I wanted.
See, here's the thing. He says that he's one of the top 3 people. The commenter says that he's one of the top 3 people. He doesn't realize we have a producer working behind the scenes very hard in Florida, punching these things up for us. It's his birthday month, so we have to be nice to him. So we'll say maybe he is top 3.
Well, it says probably.
Probably.
So
yeah.
maybe possibly would be a better, perhaps. Probably is strong.
I'm starting to get a little concerned that he might not be one of the top 2 people on the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning podcast for tomorrow morning.
No, Kevin, definitely top 3. Kevin is definitely top 3.
Sounds like Tony is doing Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning tonight.
Top 5. Kevin is top 5.
What else we got?
Here we go.
Jeremiah Yoder, the best thing about being 10-0 is the chance to go 11-0. And the absolute demise of the Cheeterines is on its way, and I love it.
I'm not usually a fan of Cheeterines, but I like the barbecue version.
Is that like the chicken giblets? Do you fry them up? What is a Cheeterine exactly?
I don't know, Tom. I was just making that up. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what that is, Tom.
Ryan Dawes says Stover was an animal. 7 targets, 7 catches, 79 yards, and a touchdown in one half of work. And there's Cade Stover right there.
This is
catching the touchdown.
This is not a back shoulder. This is a back hip throw, as I've been saying to myself and to nobody else. That was a great pass, great catch, all of that. And it's a pretty good photo, too. And you can see there really – nice grab there. And when he is healthy or healthy-ish, because he's not healthy. He's still got his bandage on his right wrist, the same thing he had last week, and they held him out. But, man, 7 catches, 7 targets the first half. Kyle McCord said he's thrilled to have him back, and that's a guy that you miss when he's not out there. And he makes everybody else better and more threatening because, as Ryan Day says, he's a player that causes conflict for a defense because – he's a definite passing weapon, but also in there with the running game helps them out as well.
Yeah, and here's a quick look at Kyle McCord's targets, top targets on the day. 9 targets, 7 catches for Marvin Harrison, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving, 1 rushing touchdown. Cade Stover, as we said, 7 targets, 7 catches, 79 yards and a touchdown. Carnell Tate, 2 targets, 2 catches, 26 yards. Julian Fleming, 3 targets, 2 catches, only 12 yards. But, you go through that list, and there were only 3 times that someone was targeted that they didn't catch it among those guys. That's, and that's kind of the first line of receivers. Emeka Ibuka would, be on that list as well. I think he was targeted
5, caught 1.
Oh, really?
That was a rough one.
Yeah. Okay. So that's
why he's not on the graphic.
Yeah. There you go. Rick S says, if you had to share a room with Jim Harbaugh and Mel Tucker, who gets the cot of shame?
Mel Tucker would get the back because I don't want to be around him. Hey, are your kids asleep yet?
So in this scenario, what is the hotel room set up? Because is it 2
just 1 king?
Is it 2 queen beds? Is it a king? Is it what's the situation?
Well,
It's certainly not a residence inn.
No, 2 queens and enough room for the air mattress.
But in one room. So this is not
Yeah,
like
no,
a
one
multi.
room. No, this
okay.
is no kitchenette, no half office.
Just Fairfield Inn.
This is $86.
I might be sleeping on like the sofa in the lobby.
I
Just
am-
like, hey,
I'm sleeping in a van. I don't care if it's by a river or not.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. You know what? I'll defend the automobile outside, and I'll stay there. Now, is this a November game? Is this December? Is this September?
I don't think it matters that much.
No. Let's really explore this.
Those are 2 such different vibes, but it's like two tuning forks that just create this they just explode all the glass. They're different.
His own sleeping bag because he is used to sleepovers.
Well, there is that. Also, he's gonna be like, "Hey guys, you mind if I punch up some Judge Judy?" And we're like, "We're trying to watch football." It's a big game. He's like, "Yeah, but this is a very special episode of Judge Judy."
So he's into courtroom drama, eh?
Tom, super chat, and this is something I wanted to talk about. I was going to bring this up right away. Mike Farino, Jelani Thurman looked like a future beast. Hope he can become a great blocker. He just a couple of short routes, but he got the most out of him, pushing dudes down, getting extra yards, picking up the first down, and then the one first down he picks up, and then he throws the first down signal on the defender or in the direction. And yeah, that guy is impressive to be around, to look at, to watch with the ball. And true freshman, you can't expect much from. You shouldn't expect anything from a true freshman tight end. It's a developmental situation, but he is so far beyond what normally they have in terms of development. Like he's already 6'6", he's probably 260 at this point, but he still looks like he's maybe like 235 because he is kind of lanky, but he obviously is a strong dude, and you saw that. And next year, I think the opportunities are wide open because it's G. Scott is obviously going to be involved, but Jelani Thurman is just different than anything else they have.
Yeah, he's someone who you go back to the spring. I remember looking at him in one of the practices or something, and it was just like going through drills or one-on-ones or something, and it was just kind of like, oh yeah, I can see it already. And I'm sure it's a little frustrating to have us talk about that in like April or March. And then here we are in November, and was that the first time he got on the field?
No, he has played he's played offense in 2 other games, like 6 total snaps.
Okay. So the answer is no, but yes.
Right.
So yeah, he is someone who you stand next to him, and it's just like, oh, this is like, it's a different physique. It's just, it's not a, he's taller, I think, than Cade Stover.
Yep.
He's and very athletic, and you can just see it. And it's like, that dude is going to be a problem, like capital P problem in a year or 2. And yeah, so the short answer is strong agree. Yes, there is a lot in there. You just gotta be patient. Capital P problem, capital P patience. We'll see you in 2024.
Yeah, this was his 3rd game played, so he still has 1 more. Played 5 snaps against Western Kentucky, 1 against Purdue, and a handful there today. So you save him. Does he play next week, or do you hold him out just in case? I think at this point you might hold him out just in case, depending on – Kate Stover is still not healthy. So I don't think you play Jelani Thurman next week because you may need him for something more important.
Yeah.
Because if you play him next week, that's it.
Yeah.
You're not going to –
Yeah.
It's a good thing he got that one snap against Purdue.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to – I don't think he's someone who you're probably bringing in as a surprise weapon off the bench against Michigan or something like that. But
it's an emergency.
You're right. You're right. I mean, you look at, Joe Royer. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Cade Stover has been banged up. He's back in, but, no Bennett Christian. You've got G. Scott has been playing, but the bench gets pretty thin pretty quick at tight end.
Last week, Patrick Hurd was their number 2 tight end. So.
Yeah. Mike Smith says, even though it was Michigan State, the offense started much faster. Good to finally see that and know there's still much more improvement that can be made. Warranted criticism or not, let's be happy we have Day and not Franklin.
Well, you should thank your lucky stars every day that you have Ryan Day instead of James Franklin, because one coach does not actively try to – not even try, just actively ends up losing games or making winning less likely. And, one of the things I talked about with that game, the Michigan-Penn State game, one of the notes I wrote is, can James Franklin, can they somehow, can he not lose that game for them? And not that he didn't necessarily lose them, but he sure did not win it for them. And I still think Michigan wins that game, regardless, they would find a way, but he could have made it a lot more difficult for them to do so. And how do you go an entire half without forcing them to throw the ball?
It is just such an entire mood. His game management is such an entire mood. I have friends from my freshman year dorm in town this weekend. So we met up and went and just watched the Michigan-Penn State game. And I'm sitting there with them and I'm looking and they have scored and it's 17-9 and he's holding up 2 fingers and I'm like, are you doing your Ronnie James Dio impression? What are you doing? It's 17-9. Like he just so constantly gives off the vibe of someone who has skimmed the Wikipedia article about whatever football strategy it is. And it's like, well, did you read the whole thing? It's like, well, skimmed it. You read the article? No, I read the Wikipedia about the article and I skimmed that. And it was like, well, like there are times when you can go for 2 and that's like a modern football, like that's a thing. Like what he did in Columbus where they were down, they were down 14 and they scored a touchdown and then he went for it then in the last couple minutes. That's like not an outrageous thing. That's something that you will have people, there's like an active theory that that's the thing you do. So, okay. This was in the second quarter and it's like, you're just setting yourself up to chase points and you're not going to believe it, Tony. But he set himself up to chase points and it didn't work out. I was as surprised as anyone, frankly.
Yeah, he gets his information from Wikipedia, or it's like if you write up a legal brief and copy and paste something from a blog, a sports blog.
It's like all of his notes have like super photocopier burn on them. Like, it's like copy. It's like, forward, 2-point theory. Like, no, that's not. No. That's not.
He could have done a better job, I guess is what I'm saying.
He could have done a better job at the James Franklin story. Now we have a name for the book.
There you go.
Mike Smith, the Iowa quarterback Deacon Hill had more passing yards at halftime than either Aller or McCarthy had for the whole game. What a wild day.
Yeah, a wild day. What's that?
Who scored a touchdown for Iowa?
Caleb Brown.
Oh, how about that?
Look at that. Former Ohio State wide receiver.
The real news there is someone scored a touchdown for Iowa.
Right.
I saw it. After being 3-0 in the first half, Iowa scored 19 points in the second half. So, Tony, if I told you One team is going to score 19 points in one half. The over-under is only 27.5. Does the over hit?
So was that 4 field goals then? Like that's the 5 scoring drives in there. This seems like more likely two missed extra points, or you're chasing points. Because was it like 6-0?
It was 3. It was 3-0 at halftime.
Right, but then if they go to 6-0, were they trying to chase to get to that 14 on the next touchdown? So I find it hard to believe that they had 5 scoring drives in the
Put some respect in your mouth.
second half.
Talking about the Big Ten West champions, more than likely.
The Big Ten West, more than likely champion Iowa Hawkeyes. Deacon Hill, more passing yards. Well, J.J. McCarthy was like 7 of 8 in the first half, and then nothing after that in the second half. Drew Aller, boy, they need to find a pitch doctor for him or something, because his accuracy is, Tom, waccuracy.
Boom. Nailed it. Okay. So I'm going to read you the end of the drives. That's it. I'm not going to read you plays. I'm not going to read you yardage. Just the end of the drives. Which one do you want first, Iowa or Rutgers?
Oh, I don't want Rutgers.
Well, sorry. So does that mean you want to start with Iowa?
Yes.
Okay. Missed field goal, punt, field goal, interception, punt. That gets us to, let's see, they next get the ball back with 6:22 left in the third quarter. So that's everything that gets you through 6:22 in the third quarter. After that, field goal, touchdown, end of game. Tony, it's time to read Rutgers. Brace yourself. Punt, end of half. Punt, interception. It's important to keep things fresh. Punt.
Tom, if you're punting every time, don't at some point you just have to go for it on 4th down and be like, you know what, let's try to change things up.
Greg Schiano went for it on 4th down. Like, he's done that a bunch. He's been real creative.
Maybe there are a lot of 3rd and longs in there.
Well, I mean,
4th and longs.
Yeah, there's.
Ooh, boy, let's super chat, Tom. Got to get to the super chat.
Okay, super chat. From Jordan Kapler, would you say Kevin is the James Franklin or Alex Grinch of Buckeye Huddle?
Well, he's not the Alex Grinch, because
Counterpoint, there's no defending Kevin.
I was going to say Kevin is very defensive. So then maybe you are Alex Grinch. But is Kevin more like James Franklin, who, you know what, maybe, Tom, because quite often Kevin is part of a very good situation here, and yet he constantly tries to ruin it.
We need a separate camera pointing at Kevin's face, looking at us during this show.
Welcome everybody into Buckeyes tomorrow morning. Recording it right now.
See, you're giving us these super chats, and we have to talk about them because they're super chats.
They're super chats.
But if I have to stay here another 20 minutes extra to do Buckeyes tomorrow morning, I am not going to be happy.
All right. Super chat from Ryan Dawes. New to the call map. Handle your scandal better. Tom Moore reads Big Ten bylaws. I mean, I don't know whether I'm relieved that we're now probably most of the way through. I have to read the Big Ten sportsmanship policy on the internet, or a little bit concerned that you're going to get into a long NCAA investigation that's probably going to have a lot of interest from the partisans in Columbus, Ohio. I feel like there might be some NCAA bylaws in our future, and I'm not sure how to feel about that.
I know exactly how you feel about it. You're excited about this.
If you're familiar with the film The Water Boy.
Again, we do need a camera on Kevin. But
great, more gear for me.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
This is not going over. This is not going away anytime soon. And you'll have the COVID stuff finally eventually hitting, and then this stuff. This is going to go on. This will get us through the off season, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, well, and here's the fun thing.
We have at least 90 days.
Well, you're going to have at least 90 days because of the, that's the amount of time that the NCAA gives your school to respond to the notice of allegations.
And then
when
you
the
have
notice of
90 days after that to
Yeah,
respond.
yeah. First of all, I think people are going to expect this to get resolved, and it's like this is going to get resolved in 3 weeks, right? And it's like no, this is going to drag on and on and on, and that's not that the last couple of weeks have not been extremely, I don't know, what's a value neutral word for, it's been busy, so it's been eventful. Eventful is the word. Eventful is the word I'm looking for. I have had more people come up to me in the last 72 hours and go, "Sir, this is not a Wendy's." But yeah, I had a good buddy Sam from Village Coffee in Granville. Was in there getting a beverage this morning, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I doing here?" He's like, "Shouldn't you be doing a live stream?" It's like, well, yes, probably I should. Yes, but I'm not right now. I either need to have sleep or caffeine. At least one of those things.
And what am I doing here? I'm not here to take a nap. I'm here for some coffee.
Yes.
Just even Thursday, Friday, just sitting around waiting for the news to drop. It's like we have not done shows because we're waiting to do shows.
There was one of the members of the Ohio State marching band stopped me. My personal new favorite, Tony's. He's on Tony's list. He stopped me. He's like, "So how are you doing in bold predictions this week?" And I said, we didn't even do it. We didn't get to it because we were just sitting there waiting for this to all happen, and it didn't happen, and then it did happen. And he said, "Well, if you'd done them, I'm sure you would have won." I was like, "Thank you. I'm so glad." This is, Tony, why they call them the best damn band in the land.
No, that's not.
That's really bold of the person to lie to your face like
Yeah,
that.
we do it all the time. There's nothing bold to it.
Great show, guys.
So we are caught up on the super chats. Tom, anything else from this game? I did like the Jelani Thurman thing. Got to see CJ Hicks out there. Got
Lincoln
to see
Keenholz?
Lincoln. Yes, Lincoln Keenholz. I thought that was great that he was out there. Hero Canoe played a bunch because I think Mike Hall was not out there.
Calvin Simpson Hunt.
Simpson Hunt mentioned that earlier. How I like the fact that he came in there for Jermaine Matthews, and the very first play he's in there, they attack him with a screen. He's got 2 or 3 offensive linemen coming right at him. It's like, this is not what you want to see as a true freshman corner. You're like, all right, I'm getting to play. This is going to be pretty cool. And then they throw a screen your way, and you're like, well.
You get the record scratch. So you're probably wondering how I got in this situation.
But Ryan Day said after game, that was one guy that stood out to him because of that play. He went in there, and he was part of that tackle. And he's also a guy that they had talked about earlier in the week as somebody who stepped up last week on special teams, catching their eye. And boy, this Jermaine Matthews, Calvin Simpson Hunt, if it's continues to go this way for Simpson Hunt, and he continues to rise, because remember, he was a summer enrollee. He was not an early enrollee. Jermaine Matthews was. So Matthews obviously is ahead of him. But next year, the year after, those two guys, of course, Jermaine Matthews should be starting next year. I think we all assume that. Depending on who is back, Davis Nigbenosin will be back. So you'll see some Calvin Simpson Hunt out there. I believe we also saw some Ryan Turner out there.
He was out there a little bit towards the end, yeah. And Calvin Simpson Hunt is intriguing because he's, you're seeing, okay, he's willing to put his face in there a little bit like Davis Nigbenosin is. He's also someone, he has a track background. He was a big time track guy. So he's got some speed too. So, true freshman, summer enrollee, you go, expect absolutely nothing out of a corner who is a true freshman, early enrollee or summer enrollee. That's like, do not expect anything, but worth
it's November now.
A situation worth monitoring for the future there, I would say for sure. Mike Smith says the way the Michigan is leaving the Big Ten has really taken off, really confuses me. Great show as always. Subscribe to Buckeye Huddle for more great content. Also hit the thumbs up.
Yeah.
That would help us as well. Yeah, I I don't think any serious person can really think like, yeah, Michigan is going to leave the Big Ten and they're either going to go to the SEC or they're going to go to the ACC or they're going to go be independent. Like, there are such screamingly obvious issues, and they're different issues with all three of those things. But it's like no serious person can actually think that that's a thing that can actually happen.
No, and
Face. Right.
yeah, and the thing is, you're having folks on the Michigan side reporting that the higher ups in Michigan, donors, boosters, admins, or whatever, are asking about this. Like, and that's why I tweeted out, I think yesterday, that it's basically fan fiction. It's something that every fan base has wondered about or talked about or gotten mad about at some point. You're like, you know what, we're leaving. We're going to get out of this conference. We're going to make it on our own. We're going to go our own way. And you know, there are probably talks in some spheres because Ohio State talked internally about it in 2020, but it was just to play an independent schedule for that year.
Season. That
Correct.
was not leaving the Big Ten.
It's very different.
6-year-old saying I'm running away from home.
That's
You're mean, Mom. I'm running away from home.
It's not. I mean, that's very close, but this is more like 3-year-old behavior.
Yeah.
Like this is a bunch of people who were not told no enough as children, and so they think, well, but I want it.
Yeah.
Grow up. Your parents failed you. Good Lord.
Yeah, and well, we can just get TV money from somewhere else. Let's go get it, but it's the Big Ten's for the next 7 years.
The Big
Ten.
Yeah.
The Big Ten gets your home home TV game money through June of 2030. Okay. So now are you going to stay super mad through 2030 and then you're going to leave? Okay, where are you going to leave? Are you going to go to the ACC and make $13 a year?
Yeah.
Okay, have fun.
No, and that's out till 2035. That contract with the ACC, and it is like $35 million, like a third of what they'll be making with the Big Ten. The SEC is part of the group that turned them into the NCAA.
Right.
So there's.
Yeah.
If you're mad at the Big Ten, you should also be mad at the SEC.
Yeah.
But there were.
No, Tony, they should go independent because they have like 30 sports, and I'm sure scheduling 30 sports as an independent will work great.
Yeah, they're looking to see if Notre Dame can get $75 million, we could probably get $175 million. So no, it doesn't work that way. Although I also did see some speculation that with the Big Ten breaching the contract by doing what they've done with Jim Harbaugh, that would nullify the grant of rights. So that would be pretty big if true, Tom, to nullify those grant of rights by doing something that they were not allowed to do, even though it was in the bylaws of the Big Ten that they could do this.
Well, there's only
cheating.
There's only one way to find out whether that will hold up to any legal scrutiny, and that's for someone to post it on a blog and then an attorney to copy that and post it into a legal argument and then to submit it. And then we'll know for sure.
That's the only way to know.
Well, they've been getting such spot-on information up north anyway.
Well, they certainly have
That
been.
could be for a whole other show.
That it could.
We've got
be
7
a
days
whole
next
other
week.
show. Then that play did not even count Mike Farino says. Which play was that? Was that the Calvin? Was that the Calvin Simpson Hunt?
Oh,
Play?
did it
that
not
might,
count?
That might have been
Oh,
the Calvin. There was one that came back on a hold.
Well, it counts on tape, and that's all
It
that
does,
matters.
yeah.
And so they like that one.
There's about 400 people hanging out with us at 10 till 1.
Do you want me to go on another rant about parenting?
All right.
Break down my gear, and I'll see you Tuesday.
Yeah, no, it's the Michigan to another conference thing is literally the stupidest thing I have ever heard in my life. If you are a writer, a board of trustees member, a university president, a football person, an athletic director, and you think for more than 2 minutes about this and don't go, well, this is weapons grade stupidity. I'm an idiot for even thinking it. If you don't think that, like, you probably should not hold your job. Like, it is so self-evidently the dumbest idea in the world, and people are just throwing themselves on the ground and throwing a temper tantrum. It's like, well, I want an Oompa Loompa too. Grow up, Peter Pan.
Yeah, and
Willy Wonka.
I know it's Willy
Well, we
Wonka.
were talking about it in the chat.
is this going to be the Wicked Witch of the West, Wicked Witch of the East argument between you two? Because if it is, we need the camera on both of you. We'll just spin it around. This whole thing is with Michigan and leaving is very, very silly. And I tweeted out the other day or yesterday, Michigan isn't leaving the Big Ten. The idea that they would leave is because they're unhappy with the speed at which the Big Ten operated, even though the results of that would probably be very similar to the results of what the NCAA hands down in terms of you've done wrong here. You are going to be punished, but you're so unhappy. You're thinking about leaving because you were punished quicker than you thought you should have been, when you still have not acknowledged that you didn't do any of the things wrong that you've been accused of. So you're just mad about the speed of this more than anything.
Yes, because the case started too soon. And then after Michigan was asked for and was granted an extra day to get the response back, then the Big Ten's response to their response came a day too late and was done purely out of spite.
Yes.
After Michigan took an extra day, was granted an extra day. And so it was too fast. And
too furious.
Too slow, and then too slow, or too fast and then too slow again. And
This bit's too hard. And this
it's
bit's too
it
soft.
is yes. It's you sort of get the impression that sometimes people are just unhappy about stuff and they're just going to complain about stuff.
But you called that.
Oh yeah,
yesterday
100%.
in terms of all of the responses that were going to come from this, or 2 days ago, whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, if it had come out on Thursday, then it would have been that the Big Ten didn't take a sufficient amount of time, and they didn't obviously take their valuable input into account. And then if it came out on Friday, it was unfair because then it was too close, and then Jim might have had to get on an airplane and not actually get to go to the game. And then if it comes out on Monday, then it's unfair because it's been hanging over their heads all weekend and you can't have that. And it's like, when would you like us to release it? And it's like, well, we'd like you to just say that you're not going to do anything until after the season. It's like, well, that's not really an option. So is there another option that will make you feel happy? No. Okay. So then you're going to release it when you're going to release it. Mike Verino says he was referring to the Calvin Simpson Hunt screenplay. Cool. So there you go.
Yep. Any punch, step, start things that we can talk about here?
Unless we want to go down the hill and talk about more punishment and stuff like that. But you said there are a lot more shows on that one.
There are, in fact, a lot more shows.
And all of that punishment is still to come. The punishment that is here now, we've already talked about plenty. As I've called it, it's a punishment without an impact. You saw that today. Although I think Michigan was a little bit impacted today with some of the difficulties they had getting plays in. Sharon Moore had a lot on his plate this week, so you can understand that things are a little bit more difficult. And they had to call some timeouts, but again, now they are 4-0 without Jim Harbaugh on the sideline. So I don't think you can really talk about the impact that having him suspended would cause to Michigan and the irreparable nature of the sanctions, because they seem to be quite reparable based on the results.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like this is a pretty good team, and I don't think that's something that's going to hold them back from, getting to wherever they're going to get. I think, how does the Ohio State game go is about the only thing that's going to keep them out of the playoff at this point. And, once they get into the playoff, they think they've, Georgia apparently looked pretty darn good on Saturday night against Ole Miss, and Washington has kept winning, and Oregon, I think, is pretty darn good. But, Michigan is absolutely in that top group, and we'll see how the college football playoff rankings change on Tuesday night when we do our live show there. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified, and hit the thumbs up on this video if you have not already. That will help other folks find these shows in the future. Dave K says, Tony's wife, Kevin's cat, and Tom's softball right fielder says that everyone should hit the thumbs up.
I missed the softball right fielder, or did I?
I think that was just thrown in there.
Oh, okay.
Just because, yes.
All right.
Griffin Whip 70 says, hey, I want to thank you guys for the best Buckeye coverage. Well, we appreciate you guys staying up with us.
Yeah.
I know it is
12:54.
12:54. We are pushing 1 a.m. on the East Coast. As we appreciate you guys.
On the last call.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys staying up. staying up with us and talking a little Ohio State, talking a little Michigan, talking a little college football. It is a little jarring that we have one more home game left on this schedule, and two weeks from now, we are going to be back home after the Michigan game, and we are going to know a whole heck of a lot more about what the next, 12 months or so are going to feel like in Columbus, Ohio, and Ann Arbor, Michigan. And boy, it doesn't feel like we could possibly be that far along in the season.
No, it is the shortest sports season, but it's also the fastest. Like this, you start getting ready for it in July, and then Big Ten Media Day gets here, and you're like, yeah, no, before you know it, we're going to be on the road for Notre Dame. And you're just thinking back then, before you know it, we're going to be getting ready for how do we handle Michigan week, the prep. And we're already talking about the prep for that. This season just boom. And it seems like game 3 through 10 just zips by. It takes, that's 2 months, and it takes about the span of 6 weeks because it moves so fast, even more 3 weeks, Tom. It moves so quickly, and it becomes a blur. And then you kind of like slow down a little bit. Now basketball season is starting and makes everything even more complicated, but still 2 games to go. Plenty of coverage, plenty to talk about. 2 very important games, Tom. One to get healthy and one to be ready, and then one to grow on.
No, we'll see if they get the one to grow on this year. They have not for a couple of years, but they, you assuming they take care of business against Minnesota, that Ohio State Michigan game becomes one of, we're almost accustomed to. We're in the 10-year war mode where this is a top 5 game, a top 5 matchup of 2 unbeaten teams, seemingly as often as not at this point. Or one of them is 11-0, one of them is 10-1. That has almost become the norm. It's still going to have crazy hype just for that. But then you throw in all the other stuff going on this year. Oh boy, this is going to be wild. And we're going to be sitting in this room in 6.5 days talking about the fact that it's Michigan week.
Yeah, that's
how on earth is it? Are we a week away from Michigan week?
Yeah, once the victory bell starts, or assuming Ohio State wins, boom, that's the start of.
Once Ohio State gets a 3-score lead,
that's the start
Michigan
of
week.
Michigan week, and it's
DJ Flex stops clapping.
Well,
that
maybe, but yeah. Then watching Michigan today, watching Penn State run the ball without being able to throw the ball, made me think that Ohio State should be able to run the ball like that on Michigan because they can also throw the ball, and if they can keep Kyle McCord upright, then he should have the footwork to maintain some accuracy. It's just that's asking a lot. I thought the offensive line was fantastic today. No Josh Simmons false starts that I recall. There is almost no pressure for Kyle McCord. And the one time if there was pressure, he stepped up into the pocket, threw a little shovel to Cade Stover, through a defender. That was a nice little move. Just show you how comfortable he was tonight. When you're doing something like that, you're like, we've seen J.J. McCarthy do similar things like that, getting outside the pocket and basically just shoveling it for 8 yards because you're in total control of everything that is going on. And that's what Kyle McCord was tonight.
Yeah, that was not, this is not the greatest defense he's going to face by any means, but you did to a defense like that what you should do to a defense like that. That's
all the football teams he's facing, that was one.
Yeah,
it was indeed one of them.
Yes. But yeah, no, they did what they were supposed to do. I'm just looking at the Penn State averaged 4.1 yards per play, but 4.7 yards per rush. So they threw 23 passes for 74 yards. That's like 3 yards a pass.
It's terrible. And if they would only throw 3-yard passes, they might complete some of them.
Well, and
because they throw 7-yard passes, and it's wild.
We're gonna have a whole conversation about this on the Monday episode of Buckeye Weekly when we, please, dear Lord, get back to the Michigan Monday format and don't have another week of breaking news that throws us off of our normal schedule.
We should have at least until Friday.
We should.
Nothing's happening until Friday, unless Well, that could be, or if perhaps Michigan is like, you know what, we were in the wrong. We're going to go ahead. we're going to go ahead and take that TRO thing. We don't need a court date or anything like that. We had.
Harbaugh thinks it's TRL. He loved that.
Thank you, Carson. I would like to request to be on the sidelines next week. It's 1 a.m, dude.
It sure is. Yes, it sure is.
We've been rapping
Does
for
that?
20 minutes.
Yeah, I think it might be time.
All right, then. Want to thank you all for sticking through all of this. As always, we invite you to BuckeyeHuddle.com. Become a member if you haven't yet. It is a fantastic way to support all of us and what we do here. Of course, as is the hitting the thumbs up. It's a free way to help us and subscribing to the channel and things like that. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys later.